Welcome in one and all to the 14th and final week of the Paladins Premier League for 2019. This is a big week, everybody. Only 5th seed and 8th seed are absolutely locked into place for High Res Expo. Lots of games, 5 this week to look at. Gore Miser joins me to talk about it. Lots of stuff remains to be break down here, Gore. Shifting could very well and maybe will happen this week.
And I think it's funny that, you know, you're looking at it like there's 2 teams going into qualifiers from the league right now.
Yes. That
you know are going to be there. So if you're looking at, you know, the PML, the PCL teams, you kind of have an idea of, okay, this is who we will face if we go forward in that bracket.
Yep.
You don't know 5th or 6th or 7th seed, and
right.
No one in the top 4 is solidified just yet. So you don't know, even after you get through the qualifiers yet, who exactly you'd have to be facing, where you want to end up there. And so a lot of these teams still potential to shift. Of course, it is qualified for High Res Expo, so the top 4 go into quarterfinals already. It's just based on where they are in that scenario that is going to change.
And I guess the important thing to look at is there won't be any big kind of sweeping changes. It's either NIP or Na'Vi, 1 and 2. That's still technically up in the air. Depends on their 2 matches this week or NIP's 2 matches this week. And then Envy and Virtus Pro at 3 and 4. They could flop, as well as 6 and 7. Pittsburgh Knights and Kanga could kind of overtake one another. You won't see any big 4th place up to 2nd place or big changes like that.
Yeah.
But still a lot to be decided, and that's impactful. Think about if you're the 4th place team, and assuming, you know, SSG makes it through that qualifier week, you know, changing could be done there as well, but that's maybe the difference between going against SSG in the quarterfinals or having to go against the Knights or Kanga in quarterfinals. So that, you know, even though it's 1 seed, big differences.
And it's just so many interesting things because, you know, for quarterfinals teams, for everybody who was 5th through 8th there, their mindset really isn't on let's win and get to, like, let's win the qualifier bracket. It's just let's get top 4. As long as we get there, you're set, you're going to quarterfinals. No matter who you meet in the top 4, you have 2 previous world champions, 1 team that is kind of seen as the hottest team in Paladins right now in Virtus Pro, plus NIP, who had the longest undefeated streak in Paladins. So it's just so much that could go wrong for you when you get to that bracket. But then you also get these hard hitters if you're in the qualifier bracket, like SSG, who are just so difficult to take down.
And they have nothing on the line here today. No standings could change for them. They are in 5th seed for that qualifier tournament. No matter what, win or loss, at this point, you're just playing spoiler against NIP. Kind of as a background onto this matchup, NIP, as you saw in the standings, a couple of wins behind SSG. If NIP are able to win this matchup by 6 or fewer, if it is a 4-2 win or less, they still have a chance at beating Na'Vi 4-0 tomorrow to overtake 1st place. So if we want to take that and compact it, to have a chance at 1st place, NIP need to win 4-2 or quicker, I guess, today. SSG, though, they're playing with some confidence. This is a team that, you know, had a slower start to this split, but maybe starting to come into their own. And we had a chance to sit down and talk to them a little bit, so don't take my word for it. Take a listen.
After a long season traveling to and from Brazil, Spacestation have finally settled into their now fully furnished and ready team house and have been on the grind through the twilight weeks of the 2019 PPL season.
So good right now. Just have everything we need to practicing, so it's all good. Right now we are just hard practicing for HRX, but sometimes we just go to play tennis or to the pool, just to chill, you know.
Yes, we have a fridge. I think we're starting to improve a lot. We still have tons of mistakes and stuff, but we're getting there. Like each week, we're becoming stronger and stronger. Like each of us are on our room. Hey, you guys want to do something? No messages, just plain silence.
Although they're now here and consistently practicing, SSG's results haven't been up to their expectations, as many of the other teams have managed to level up in their absence. With this in mind, they stand at the gates of what could be the toughest gauntlet of Paladins ever to date. To prepare, they're focusing on moving on from losses and looking at what's ahead.
I mean, we just try to keep calm and just everything. We all come together and say, like, what is the thing that we need to change to win this game? That's what we try to do sometimes, you know? Like, if we're doing something wrong in the draft or in the game, we just try to keep calm and see what's going wrong and trying to fix it.
Is it who in particular is the biggest person that does that?
Mostly Sadak, me and Sadak mostly of the times, but it's all the team, you know. Everyone talks, but it's mostly me and him.
So I think this was more like a decisive week for us, because this week, the last week, I mean, meant our qualifying for the HRX. So now that we lost, we are gonna preparing for the qualifying to qualify to the HRX. So it was like, okay, we lost, guys, don't worry, just put our minds on the next week and try to improve from there.
I mean, you just have to learn from it, you know. Things that happen, so you just have to learn from it and do it better the next time. You just don't have to think about it, you know.
I mean, first it's like you have a lot of emotions, you know, you get like sad, depressed and angry all at the same time, but that will happen. I mean, it just goes away. Just gotta know what your focus is, know what your goal is. So it's all gonna improve, you know.
I mean, we are just hard practicing right now. We're just trying another new strats, new things, trying to have everything for this HRX, trying to play with everything. But I mean, we just try to improve our game, not to copy the other teams, you know.
Do you think that's going to be your key to winning?
Probably, just practicing our own game.
We're gonna training even more. Like I told you before, like you saw our schedule right now. I don't know how to say it. Yeah. So we're gonna prepare even more. We are taking notes from the teams even harder. Like every little thing they do, just write it down. Yeah, basically.
Even with a steep climb ahead, SSG are optimistic about the HRX qualifiers. They've been here before, and they know they can handle the pressure.
I don't think affects too much because we're from Brazil, we came from the border, you know, and then like it's something that happens. Like if you have to go through the qualifiers to go to HRX, there's something that we need to do. Like doesn't affect so much. Now we can prepare like so much for this. I think like could be great because like we can like prepare before the HRX, and we're gonna be like very prepared for this moment.
If we can get like a winning streak, you know, we're gonna get more excited and more like, okay, we can do this, guy, let's do it. So it's gonna improve. We need the pressure. As a team, we need the pressure. We need to know that we have to win no matter what to be better.
Confidence and no worries for SSG. They are awaiting the winner of the PS4 console matchups from Sunday. They will move on to face SSG in round 1 of the qualifier tournament. So their fate is sealed. They're just watching. They're waiting for that first day of console wars to really figure out who they're going up against.
Yeah.
But a chance to play spoiler, as I mentioned at the beginning of the desk. This is all good practice for them. Consistent games, trying to build some momentum. NIP now, still with something left to gain, still a first seed, maybe an outside chance, but still a chance nonetheless.
They have to come in with that mentality, though, of that first seed curse that has always kind of been there. It's just if you come in as first seed, a lot of the times we've seen that team fall either very early on or sometimes if they can push all the way to that world championship and that final spot, they end up losing there. But it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. Again, if they lose today, all that conversation we had earlier doesn't necessarily matter for them. They will be second seed, and so maybe a little bit more pressure on there. Otherwise, they can really only afford 2 losses today at max. And SSG are one of those teams that they like to push it to 7 when given the opportunity. So don't be surprised unless NIP have a trick up their sleeve. I mean, they have been able to bring in Bs, and that has completely kind of shifted them around and looking a little bit more successful, a little bit more inward in a lot of like the issues they had before. And because of that, it feels like they have been kind of reinvigorated as a team, feeling a lot more akin to what we had at the beginning of the year than what we saw kind of through last couple of months of Phase 1 and then the first couple of months of Phase 2.
Well, I know Bees was feeling very confident, actually, about their matchup against Na'Vi tomorrow. That's our second matchup tomorrow. So there's two scenarios where nothing matters after this matchup for first and second seed, and that is if NIP loses or if they win in 7 games. So keep your eyes on that scoreline. Shattered Desert, Ascension Peak, both taken off of the board here, as well as Timber Mill and Splitstone Quarry. And these are going to be the last couple of looks we get at a lot of these teams, so starting to get maybe a better idea of what maps they like, what maps they don't like.
Yeah.
We've had a whole split of PPL to kind of learn these things as well, but the land meta could be changing, could be shifting, and Serpent Beach is map 1.
Especially for teams, SSG, you look at them nights later when they play.
Yep.
The teams that aren't playing again tomorrow, this is the last technical footage you will have on them
SSG
qualifier. So for SSG, if you're watching this, you kind of want it to go 7 games. If you're, playing the PS4 bracket, or if you're playing in qualifiers at all, you want this to be as long as possible because you want every map, every draft, every playstyle choice, anything and everything they do here is going to get broadcast out to the world. And because of that, it gives you something to study on. 7 maps, 7 strategies you can come up to try and pick them apart. The one thing they've always had going for them, though, and this is the one thing that NIP are going to have to kind of overcome with a lot of strength, SSG are super adaptable.
Agreed.
They understand round to round, sometimes even just halfway through, like what was going wrong on the mid-fight will change for the defense or the offense, depending on whether or not they captured it.
Right.
And those are the things that truly have been impressive about them. They're 5th seed, and they've had some rough games and some rough weeks in this last phase, but they are a team, you change one Game 7 last year that potentially is a world champion, right? That is the caliber that you're playing against.
And that's so important, again, when you look back at the 3rd and 4th seed conversation that is surrounding Envy and Virtus Pro. If everything remains consistent and seeding remains true throughout that qualifier week, which is, potential or not, that remains to be seen, but could be the difference. As it stands, 3rd and 4th seed for Envy and Virtus Pro is the difference between SSG, that caliber of team, and Knights, who are kind of on that resurgence. First picks and bans, though, for SSG and NIP starting to roll through. Strix Willow off the board, Maeve Evie as well. Buck, first pick for Space Station. NIP we've seen 4 different hovers here. Makoa Atlas has now been swapped out for Cassie and Leon.
Now, this is something. First off, I don't know what happened. I was only gone for 2 days of Premier League play last week, but Buck is first pick.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. And I want to know, and this will be something we have to see when we get into game, but with that locked in, especially as quickly as it was, if we're going to see something very similar to what we saw, actually, Bugsy from All Business running on Tuesday, which is the Bounce House bug, a lot of damage reduction in it. Like, that loadout has a lot of merits to it. Even though it seems pretty memey, it's definitely up there. But NIP grabbed Knessa Leon. So both Makoa and Atlas are still on the board. It's not often you get a draft that they last anywhere near this long.
Well, this is a complete kind of regression from all of the norm, right? I mean, and normally it's 4 bans are all front lines, maybe with the exception of a Strix or a Willow. Usually it's Makoa, Atlas, and then a couple flexes. Sometimes it's a front line, sometimes it's Strix and Willow.
Yep.
If nothing else, after that, I would say picks 1 through 3 are almost always frontline picks. Not the case here. 1 through 4. Buck, Knessa Leon for NIP. Strix, great on Serpent Beach.
Yes!
Knessa as well.
Got it out.
Somebody find that timestamp. I said, remember 2 weeks ago, I said Androxus is going to get picked at some point.
I think it was me and you. We were talking about it, and we were just like I know during the update show, I was saying, please start playing him more.
Alrighty.
And it took a little while. You were talking about how someone's going to have to pick him up, and he's finally
What does this maybe tell you about SSG right now?
So Androxus and Buck, this is aggressive style of play to me. This is going to be controlling pretty much both Waterfall and Sundial. You're going to be coming around the side, and both of them are going to be pretty solid at hunting down Knessa.
Okay.
This, in my mind, Androxus is kind of a flex away, like if you were going to go triple DPS, which apparently they're going even further than that. The quad DPS is on its return here. You would fight down Drogos. Now I don't know what to say. I'll be honest. The only time I've seen NIP run this... Is my math wrong
or something? There's no way. I mean...
They've only ever done this on Timber Mill.
I mean, there's no... I mean, because according to the
standings... If
standings...
and Atlas go unpicked, I'm going to flip.
According to the standings, there's a chance for NIP to grab first place. I'll go back and double check my math after this, but you know, there was some eyebrow
All right,
raising.
so now they're just having fun.
I mean, SSG literally.
Man, I'm actually kind of jealous. I'd like to cast this one.
Nothing to gain or lose for SSG. Maybe some standing swaps for NIP. Again, I'll go back and double check my math, but they are 10 maps behind, 2 wins behind, so the potential is there, albeit an outside chance for NIP to jump up to first, but they're going to grab themselves quad DPS, maybe round it out with 5. The old 10 DPS draft core. I'd ask you to analyze, but
you know what? The only thing I can think right now is that
I'd ask you to analyze, but
no, I actually do have something for this. This is the best strategy. It depends on the next couple of games, but this is actually the best way to ensure that no one during qualifiers knows anything about your team, is to not play what you're going to play during qualifiers. For SSG, this is probably the best case scenario. If you're NIP, you're already going to quarterfinals. If you don't care about being first seed or second seed, you have nothing to lose. This is the best way to just close the laptop and say you can't see anything of what we have prepared.
I have no idea. Casters, take it away.
Acting like we have any more.
Yeah,
idea.
seriously.
It felt like Buck first pick was a little bit strange, Krez, and then Atlas Makoa snap hovered, not locked, and then kind of that regression in okay, Cassie Leon, no, Canessa Leon. It was like NIP. Okay, they're trying to bark back. They're trying to pull the rug out from whatever SSG are up to in this draft, and then SSG just double down on getting whatever they wanted to get, which kind of looked like dive, right? At this point, 5 picks in, we're still okay. We still have a relevant train of thought to follow, and then that's where it just kind of goes all off the rails after that point.
Yeah, once the quad DPS got locked in on the other side, I think we both knew the kind of game this was going to be.
Man.
FRC Andy, though.
After the, a little something happened in the studio yesterday, might have just got the itch back for Freeze to play some Andro. Shrapnel, Bulk Up, Hurl, Impulse, Godslayer, Opportunity and Chaos, Recurve, Eminence, Yomi, Reposition are your talents for this very, very special edition of
Bees walks
by.
by.
I almost want to get him in
Finger
here.
gunning at the
ask him what in the hell is going on. 5 DPS versus 5 DPS. Welcome to the show, folks. It's the final week of PPL.
Listen, this is just part of our campaign to let players kind of attach a little bit more to the casuals. You know, what you tend to see when you randomly queue and none of your team wants to help you out. And so far, SSG have all the kills in this fight, and that's got to do with some of the players switching, right? All these players, except maybe Rashao, have played DPS at various times, different roles.
Yeah, you know what? Let's watch Rashao, dude. Rashao and Bird. That is who I want to watch primarily. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
Give me that dredge.
Oh, Midtown just eating from the back line where he's most comfortable. He's going to disengage there. Rashao on the Victor. Dicky Dog playing Shaolin. Who's Bird playing right now? Is he playing Canessa?
Leon.
He's playing Leon?
Yeah, it's Bird on Leon.
Oh, man. This is this is special, dude.
How do you retake against 5 DPS?
I
honestly
don't
don't
DPS,
know. Yeah,
brother?
I'm saying, how do you walk through a wall? I guess Midtown's going to have some sick nades over this wall to find something.
Look at these shoulder peaks.
How much practice? Listen, I'll tell you, personally, I know Midtown has hours upon hours of practice on this dredge. It's something I made him grind when I was... Absolutely not. But I was hoping you'd buy it, honestly.
Man.
It felt like you did.
Selling it. You were selling it for
and
sure.
hey, Midtown's the last one alive. You can tell. Broadside maybe will kill Bird, but he gets out in the last second. Might be able to find the hurl, and he does.
Dumpsters him with the harpoon. 99% for NIP, and for what it's worth, chat, NIP will capture the first payload of Serpent Beach for this very special edition of PPL Thursdays. Now, this match not necessarily meaning a whole lot for SSG, but the maps, they do mean something for NIP. And how much they mean, Kresnik, kind of depends on how important that seeding change from second to first would be for NIP, and that's something only they can answer.
I think some teams might want to avoid VP depending on how quickly they research, right? Some teams maybe don't want to play against them, but that seed isn't locked in either, so it's so hard to tell whether teams want to be first or second. NIP, if they 4-0 SSG today, they gain the right to, or they get the luxury of dropping one map to Na'Vi, but still being able to tie for first. That's what it's going to come down to. So NIP, if they want first seed, they want to 4-0 here to have a better chance. Tenor uses the Headhunter, picks up 2 on 2 of the many backlines that SSG have.
Wow.
FRC answers back, but not enough with Alex.
Frag festival, man. How many? Let's look at the KDs. How many people? We got an average of 6 deaths, I would say. 6 live kills and deaths, and everyone is fragging right now. 6 and 3 for Sadak. He's actually out in front with his Cassie, so shout-outs to the tank mains out there. A little bit of flexibility here for Sadak as he's the only one pulling a 2 KD. Diggy Dog's close, but as he eats that death from Rashao, he's going to move down to 5 and 3. 57 seconds on the clock here. NIP with the first payload of the game. And I don't know, man. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I don't know if I expect the whole set to go this way today.
Man.
But if the thing is, if the first game is going this way, usually this is like a, okay, third, somebody's up 2-0, 3-0, fourth game, fifth game. That's when this starts to happen, but this is right out of the gate. These two teams just want to have some fun with it.
For sure, it's possible, and I don't blame them. If NIP don't really care about the seeding, then I totally get it. You know, they're still competing. It's not like the teams are throwing. They're just playing these really unique, interesting compositions and seeing what they can do with it.
And if ever there was a season of Paladins to do this, I think it would have to be now. So much is viable. Like I said, really until we thought, like I could have seen this being a thing that happened until the 6th pick in the draft, 6th and 7th technically, that revealed a 4 DPS composition for NIP. That's when I started to question. But even then, Kresnik, we've seen 4 DPS before.
By the same team?
This is by the same team, exactly, man. They're going to get the 2-0 push. The conversion is theirs. 5 DPS, never before been done before. So this is new territory. These teams are blazing.
I was kind of hoping that they would run tankier builds, right? Like, give me, like, Cardio Victor, give me... I mean, they have Bulk Up Buck, but give me both. That's the closest thing to a 2-tank setup you're going to get in this Quint DPS. And you had some good trades earlier there in the Shaolin. Shaw, we haven't seen too much.
Oh, boy.
5 Haven buys. Ares got Illuminate. That's
Ares is going to track
sick,
down
right?
Diggy Dog, man. Again, here's the talent selections. A lot of Kill to Heal coming out as well. No Cauterize, so healing items, incredibly powerful, especially Kill to Heal.
Yes.
Once you can leverage it, I mean, at the level 2 mark, that is a 600 burst heal right now at level 1. It's only 300, but 300 being over 10% of most of these characters' health.
Yeah, let's see. Ares tried to get a little aggro FRZ. Maybe waiting over here. What a great flank by him and Rashao teaming up to get 3, maybe 4. Actually, it's going to be a full team wipe once he gets this last shot. And how excited are you to be watching Andy again,
Oh,
Nick?
man, it's great, especially Freeze God playing it. Not much more you can ask for. The Haven's already out in force, so you can see Freeze's revolver shots have fallen to about 470 damage onto Tenor. So that damage reduction is going to become a factor later on in this game. Time to kill will go up for all of these SSG carries. But at the end of the day, Krez, there was 5 of them, so I don't know how much of a difference that really will make.
They tried to use the Kraken from Dredge, but didn't connect with anything. And Bonker cleans up 3 on the side, but they lost the cap.
He just erupts with laughter as he walks down his 3rd kill. The payload does go the way of SSG, and Lightning rips through Buck. Able to shrug off the initial burst with his damage reduction, but eventually following to the follow-up.
How am I supposed to analyze this when I don't play DPS, Nick?
No
I'm a tank
no
main.
terminus in this
There's
one.
no terminus. I know nothing.
No space being created
My
here.
brain doesn't have a single wrinkle on it at this point. Mitau, though, hurling back and forth up here. I actually think Dredge has some merit in some places. I think he's actually sick on Frog Isle. I had one good rank game with him with Vex. I'll ask him about it if we have to post-game him tomorrow. But Dredge, I think, has some merit on some maps. Maybe not this one, but Mitau's making it work. Spite to counter the reversal, but actually trades for 2 with Rashao as well.
Looking for 3 here. Alex into the back line, but a nice little impulse blast shot combo shuts it all down. Sadak has now ended 2 potential triple kills there. 1 in that highlight reel of Diggy Dog in the first round, and now a second Alex if he could have just gotten the counter off. You can see the potency of that blast shot combination there, about 1,200 and some change, depending on how direct you are with the connections. To the high ground now. This is, again, Andrew was 5th picked. You're seeing now the viability of Andrew, all of that vertical mobility. This is one of the most vertical intensive maps in the game, so that's why I wasn't thrown, I wasn't sold, I wasn't sure that this was a meme until the 6th and 7th picks in this draft.
As soon as Mako and Atlas got overthrown for Andy, because Andy gets destroyed by Mako.
Yeah.
That's what made me like, oh no.
That's when the questions come
I
in.
knew. I was actually gonna pull a whole thing about like, oh yeah, this is our playbook, man. Like this is something that we've been grinding forever. And then it was 5 DPS on the other side too. I was like, I can't play that on.
I can't
There's no
stand
way I
by
can
that.
sell that.
No, sir.
Drama club in high school, but nothing could have prepared me for that, honestly.
Into the back line again. 2 more for Freeze and the boys of SSG. Sadak and Midtown putting their names on one as well. 30 seconds on the clock. Looking for conversion here. Bird falls. And it's a 2-2 scoreline here. The maps matter for NIP if they want to go for first seed. So I think despite what has been locked in here, these players are definitely giving it their all.
Yeah.
Ninjas in Pajamas. Love to get their thoughts on the on what's happening here, or SSG's thoughts on what's happening here. Who threw in the towel first and called it to be 5 DPS? Can you see the support players frag out, though? It's a very, very rare sight indeed, especially on Hurl. Just strap in, folks. Enjoy the ride. This is not something I would expect to see for a long, long time.
This Hurl build is actually kind of sick into the lack of cauterize on the other side. He's getting 400 health every time he connects a harpoon. Plus, he's getting healing next to that warp as well. So, I mean, more cauterizing on the other side than on SSG. They have their priorities straight, but it's paying off clearly. The healing chart. Very happy to see that. That shows some
goose eggs.
The priorities that these teams have in these matchups.
Look at that. Shatters the frontal barrier from Vivian with the harpoon, and Freeze just dunks in the reversal. Tenor pops the counter. Headhunter trying to get up over the edge here. Very, very worried about these harpoons ripping out from Midtown, though. No cooldown. That's the talent, so every single one of these he connects. Healing for 400. Healing while standing near a shortcut as well, but has to get out of there. Can't go toe-to-toe with Vivian.
Maybe I really should have given Midtown some dredge prep here. Broadside, he's using broadside too much.
Yeah.
That ability, especially against all these DPSs, they're just going to walk away. Sadak playing monstrously this game, honestly. I think he's top damaging in the game. I think both tanks for SSG are the top damagers, and I'm right. Rochelle and Sadak putting on a show so far, and especially Sadak now. I was going to say widening the gap, but Bonker's catching up there on the right side.
No need for the big game. All the impulse damage is here for Sadak, and he has moved his 2 KD to almost a 3.0 here. 14 and 5 on the Cassie. Freeze doesn't like what he sees. A lot of damage over there. Buck working his way in. These two will likely get in together. Little crack in there, comes up dry as well. Reversal hands go up. Billows forced out. Midtown just continuing to yeet away here, looking for all the damage you possibly can with the harpoons. Ultimate's starting to be popped now. The heat haze for Diggy Dog. What'll it find? Tenor goes down at the start of this fight. Ares finds Bonker. Diggy falls as well. My man, this is looking like it might be the second, third payload now for SSG.
Possibly. Alex touches in the last second, but dashing into FRZ is not a play you want to make. So lethal on this Androx is something we really don't get to see much from him anymore, or from anyone at all, to be fair, but his Andy is very, very good, and we are seeing that in action right now. See how SSG wants to push this payload. I mean, they're just going to chip them away and then move in from there. That's kind of all they can do, and Midtown's going to be a great opener for that for SSG.
Wow. Midtown gets up to the high ground. Doesn't work out for him. Bonker will stem the assault for now. 2 dead by his hand. Out of combat regen as all these players have the leverage. No healers in sight. Up to the high ground.
Where's
now.
The veteran?
Freeze is going to look to challenge. Hey, man, there's some games, I'm sure as a tank man you can understand, some games you just have that healer, and we all know what I mean when I say that, that you seriously consider, or in some cases you buy that veteran. The majority of the healing I'm getting is out of combat healing. There's nothing else I can do. This is the out of combat healing item. You got to do what you got to do in dire straits.
There was a veteran build, actually. There was actually a build that worked with veteran, but when retaliation was still in the game, you would maximize your billow time, you would maximize your counter time, when you could do both of those.
Yep.
And then no one would want to shoot your counter. You billow immediately after, you'd get full healed. It was like having Smolder, but having retaliation. It was actually kind of sick.
The best of both worlds.
I played it in a scrim against G2. And we lost 3-4. That was days long gone. SSG now retaking this high ground. FRZ, one of the best people to take it on this Androxus. Both flankers here, but they're getting slowed down by Tenor's Headhunter.
Definitely a lot of damage going out here on the high ground. Freeze the first to run away from it. And frankly, it's a disengage that ends up working out well for him. Diggy and Bird have already fallen. Midtown continuing to do it. Every time we check in with him, it's more of the same here. Just yeeting harpoons from the backside of the fight. Sadak finds another one. this Impulse Cassie is really working out well for him, and can't say I'm surprised. It's the ideal situation for the talent. Bonker's going to try and lawnmower his way back through the high ground here, retaking now NIP coming out of base with some force. They find 2 kills for nothing, and SSG have to back off.
I love just going back to Mitao in the same spot, because you really can't challenge him that much. There's just so much damage he can throw into a choke point that no one wants to fight Mitao right now. Plus all that sustain that he has. Not everyone has Cauterize on the other side, so much he can get away with. Alex dashes right into one of his pipes. Mitao actually teleports behind them and might get a good split here, and FRC finds a kill from it.
There it is. Cursed Arm, good for 1, but I don't know if it'll find 2 here. Backpedals off the high ground with his hands up, showing Alex he means no harm. 3, 2, 1 goes the clock. Final kills going in the favor of SSG. Alex gets in there, equalizes 1. Tenor finds another, but it's a 5 for 2. Meaning SSG might just be able to roll this one in. Bonker's the only one left to contest, and the payload goes home, and SSG erupts with laughter, winning Serpent Beach 4-2. It's a map that does mean something. I don't know what to really read in terms of emotions here from NIP. Bonker's still kind of laughing about it. B's ultimately not looking satisfied with that,
B's
with
actually,
that outcome either.
That was a very different B's that was walking to the right. That was a
you know, I think there's definitely some ego there with NIP, right? They have a lot of very, frankly, famous DPS players in the path. Bonkers won the world's MVP doing it. Diggy Dog used to main DPS for Kanga as well. Tenor, of course, being basically a world class, if not one of the most flexible players in the PPL. That's a 4-2, man. I don't know. That wasn't exactly close.
SSG looked great on 5 DPS. You know what? Maybe NIP should look for that 5 tank or that 5 support matchup. That might end up being better for them.
Oh, folks, stick with us. We got a really great show here for you today. We're going to have Game 2 on the other side of this break.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
The 10 DPS game of 2019 comes to a close with SSG out on top. It's a 4-2 gore. I mean, it's somewhat close, but 10 DPS, both teams, you know, wherever that was born out of, just having some fun.
Yeah.
Trying to build something maybe going towards Worlds.
If you really want to impress me, though, Koga, Sky, and Talus, and specifically Sky and Talus, each one only have one game played.
Oh, no.
And Sky and Talus did not win their one game. So if you pull those out and you can win with them, then that's always going to be big. But everyone else in that game, you know, has a little bit of playtime coming up for them. It was really fun to watch, and it was interesting to see what a meta without tanks would be like. Just the way things come through. KDAs this game are going to be insane.
Yeah, here are your post-game stats. Look at everything. Damage awry everywhere. Bittner at 70,000, top in the game. I mean, that's got to be a little extra, like, confidence boost, right? In a 10 DPS game, you have the highest by, like, 20,000.
Yeah, by a good margin. It's got to feel good for him. Of course, you know, one of the best DPS players in the world. On top of that is a sniper. Played pretty well throughout all of that. Unfortunately, Diggy, kind of going back to his DPS roots, didn't quite land the way he wanted to at 6 and 13.
Oh, yeah.
But let's just say it. Androxus, I missed watching him.
He's
I
back,
think there's
right?
no
That's
reason to
means?
highlight him other than that. I mean, he did really well, 3.1 KDA, but at the end of the day, Andro's just fun to watch.
This means he's back, right? This is a very, very telling. He's absolutely back in the meta, for sure.
With how much Drogos I've been seeing, and let's see how many games Drogos has played here. With Drogos being in 123 games, Androxus should have more than now 15 that he has been played in. You know what I mean? He's really good, but he has very niche scenarios. And in some of these cases, there's probably another DPS that does what he does better. I actually anticipate, you know, we won't get to see it competitively, but looking at the next update with Leon and Cassie, what's happening to them and both of their ult changes specifically, I think we could see Androxus kind of get scooped back up into the meta. Unfortunately, these guys are not going to be playing on that until post-Worlds, so we'll have to find out, I guess maybe next year before we even see that.
I'd be okay with that. I don't know. I miss Androxus. Split one, you know, every once in a while he'd come in, but...
For a guy whose face is behind us all the time on the desk.
That's true.
That's the only time we truly get to see him.
That's fair. Frog Isle, map 2. All right. Bit of regression to some sort of normalcy.
They look so sad now.
I mean, Atlas banned out. Kinessa banned out as well from NIP. Now I'm tentative. To, like, really dive into any sort of, like... deep analysis. All right, Makoa and Atlas both banned.
I like that.
Kinessa and Maeve. Great. Is that Bob Ross?
Looks like Bob Ross.
Oh, NIP are going to ban Kinessa and grab Strix.
Happy little hat he has right there.
Map 1, game 1 was a happy little accident. We'll move on to game 2.
They don't make mistakes here.
All right, so these are normal picks, right?
Yes. It's not Buck first pick, and I'm not going to dive into some crazy spiel about it, so I'm feeling pretty confident about this one, especially with Khan going right there. This is back to normalcy, and Strix might be the biggest pickup that you could have in a match like this. I mean, you already got Bittner. Whatever you want to say about that last game, you now have him warmed up on a sniper, and you gave him a sniper on the map where the snipers are the best. I think those actually lead into each other pretty well. And, I mean, like you were saying, it's not the end of the road for an IP here. Honestly, even second place isn't the worst-case scenario. But getting a pick like this, going Con Ash as well, this is looking aggressive. It's going to have good ramp control, and it's going to have a lot of free damage on it. SSG have a lot to work against.
They do. They're going to grab Genos as well, pair that with the Eevee Barrack. So strong, both of those champions with that astral mark, that luminary mark behind them.
I'll be impressed if you know which direction
and IP grabs Strix, ban out the Kinessa, so SSG probably privy to the fact that they're going to lean into the Strix for the first pick, and IP. Maybe have something prepared to go up against it. One damage dealer left. Leon still on the table. Victor as well has been starting to come back into the PPL. All right, B's getting some in. Okay. Seemingly liking the analysis that Pocket B was giving to him. I think it's a Ratatouille situation where the B is doing the real coaching, right, and then he is just relaying it to his team.
If he ever comes in with a hat that seems to cover up a little bit too much, like it has too much headroom on it,
right,
and we don't see the
if
B
he
in the
comes in
pocket,
wearing a chef hat, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely been able to fully take control, but as of now, it seems like he actually has to get it. And you know what? this is in draft. I'm going to say it right now. If you want to, you can go Androxus and it can work on this map. You're going to suffer maybe a little bit of range. I think Cassie and Leon can both kind of come in. Leon might be your best bet, but Androxus could do well. Gets to Ying, gets to Strix, gets to Drogos, and it causes trouble for everybody else. They're not going to pick it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're out of the meme zone now, Gore, I think.
But
Freeze kind of looked
actually
good on
would
Andro.
be good here.
He looked good on
You dishonor yourself
on Andro. It is a Xin, though, which is, I think, still relatively interesting.
Not what I was thinking in the least.
It's a somewhat of an off-meta pick, maybe, for Frog Isle. Do you like that to round out SSG's lineup?
I just blew straight into the mic, and I apologize for that. I don't know how I feel about
10
it.
10 DPS
it
got us some type of way this morning.
falls into a very weird area. I think it could do a lot, but it's going to be fighting ramp. If it can get past whoever, I'm assuming Khan probably over there, maybe Ash over there, then he's going to have a lot of merit, can do a lot to Ying. The biggest thing they're going to be suffering from, though, is no one to directly damage this Drogoz. I think he's going to be going almost uncontested. I mean, Ruckus and Genos and theoretically Barrack in some scenarios should get some consistent damage, but none of the three I just listed are, I'm going to kill you outright from the sky.
Right. Well, bit of a return to normalcy here. Standard compositions for both sides. Let's send it down to Frog Isle and see how it goes.
Still certainly a fun one, though, I think, for Spacestation Gaming. Is in not really seen much outside of, like, ice mines, and even then, it's pretty rare to see it. I've always felt like, you know, having to burn mobility cooldowns to get into relevant positioning on Frog Isle is always something that's kind of kept Xin down on this map. It's part of the reason I think he's strong on ice mines, because you get to walk up to where you need to be.
And I think they can make up for it just by having everybody doing kind of the same thing, so they can't focus one individual target. Right, everyone's moving in, and if someone wants to stop them, they're getting forced out. This is just a super aggressive comp by SSG, and NIP knows it. That's why Alex dismounted so early for that salvo. In order to see this pressure. Actually, this is interesting. Look, they want to dive in main with this lurk that they have, but everyone's still sitting so far back. But actually, they left main open, and SSG's taking that space.
They definitely are looking for Strix, I think. Bonkar shuts down Sadak. The dive to the back line is not successful. 2 members dead already. Make it 3. Not a scratch on NIP. Freeze, the last one left alive. Tenor cracks him out of the sky with the Talon Rifle. In and out of the ice block in the dirt from Alex. Just as coordinated as SSG looked on the assault, NIP was ready for it on the defense.
Because that's kind of a one-dimensional draft from SSG, right? NIP know that's what they have to do, so they're going to be ready for it. Usalot even coming out from Alex to specifically have that counter for the Ruckus, for that dive pressure. SSG's trying to make something happen in main, but Bonker, Strix, all of them are going to be like a wall.
I can't see! You could definitely tell he was blind there. Couple of bullets let loose here, couple there. Sadak realizing, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't see nothing, man. 4 for nothing in the second team fight. Cute little salvo slide in the back line. Look at all that momentum. Alex roars forward with a triumphant yell. Looks for the 5th and final kill of that would-be team fight. Can't find it as Ying is able to barely Genos is barely able to skirt his way into base. But it's all good. NIP have that first payload of the game in very dominant fashion, I might add.
And all the damage that they were able to do on that defense got Bonker's ultimate charged already, overpowering Sadak off the side. Rashao dies in main as well. Just trying to be aggressive, or SSG, because that's just what their comp has to do, but they're just going to keep getting caught out if they want to be aggressive like that. They have to, I think, change up their tempo if they want to find a weakness in what NIP want to do.
Perfectly timed fire spit there, cleans up Freeze out of the ice block. Payload coming down the home stretch now. I don't think anybody's died on NIP. Everybody's got the streaks burning. Diggy just about ready to go on his ultimate as well. These tank ults not super far off here. I don't know what SSG can do to stop this, slow it down even. There's the spike, but again, doesn't do a ton of damage. Midtow finally gets one on the board. Time and space to the back line finds Tenor. This payload inching ever close, but Rashao is dug in the dwarf spot, right up against the rocks, the walls, in the corner. He's fully committed to the defense, but it's an extremely good spot for Barrack to hold.
Yeah, and there was no better person to get that through time and space on earlier than Tenor. He's so tough to dive, so much damage. Good to have him out of the picture. Now SSG can play in the open, but he's back. Danger is there. FRC tries to get away. Ares trades it out, trades it for 2, but how long can Rashao stay alive?
Danger close, boys. The shields are up. Shoulder bash immune by the Billow, but one follow-up attack there from Diggy Dog cleans it all up. Wants to get into the dome shield, knock knock this Barrack and this Genos away. It's a cluster in the corner. Barrack, both turrets down, all the cooldowns expended, buying time just for the Hexafire to get back. Both NIP frontliners managed to shrug that one off, survive just a little bit longer. 30 seconds on the clock here to get this one through. He's still alive, he's still chucking until the dragon comes to uproot the dwarf from his cave, steal his riches, and convert the payload.
The fact that the DPS spawns got back there shows how good of a job NIP's tanks were doing at just buying time. This was that initial dive. I think Sadak going down early made things so difficult. Once that Ruckus pressure isn't there, it's so much harder to find that Strix. That's why you pick Ruckus against Strix. He's kind of your seek and rescue dog, right? You're able to find him, sniff him out with the minigun, sniff him out with the rockets, and be able to chase him down and call his location to your team. Sadak already 0-6, kind of what you'd expect from this hyper-aggressive Ruckus that's not really able to find its mark against this ultra-defensive NIP playstyle.
And it looks dialed in, partying hard, spraying, swapping, flaring, getting it all ready to go, tuned up. I love that party hard spray, man. NIP, they all use it. Time watching them do it. Different strategy, different approach here. Nobody rushing down main. Overpower early onto the Barrack, holding him up. Sacrificial lamb here, but it's Bonker who needs to watch his step. He will also fall. Rashao does end up going down. Ends up being worth it. A 1-for-1 trade turned into a 2-for-1 trade. Alex, largely uncontested, was a big concern on the desk heading into this game, and I think it was warranted.
For sure, and Alex wasn't there to help out, I think, on that overpower initially, which is why Bonker traded for it, but coming back in later, they weren't ready for the damage being there.
Toss him off.
Barrack can dash back. Barrack would potentially be able to make it back, depending on where you throw him from. Time Space comes out, just misses Tenor, jumping over to the side, and 57%. SSG have to make a move quickly. They don't want to give up any more cap time. Looks like NIP are giving it up for them.
Comeback mechanic is enabled for SSG, so if they can manage to get themselves onto the objective, it's going to be close. Look at that bird even getting into the mix there. Claims the killing blow onto Ares, who is just about to spite Alex out of the sky, who lives, who goes on to slay Sadak straight to the back line. Alex has been a terror in the skies. He rains death from above. Nobody there to answer him. Overtime started. Fire spit over the walls, good on to Freeze, but he's happy to take that one with his healer behind him. NIP grab the next payload and are going to be looking for the 4-0.
Let's see if SSG can do anything to stop that pressure that NIP are exuding on this part of the push specifically. Bonker, both tanks in the window, but Bonker has to give up that position, does not want to get knocked back any further. SSG's tanks are both just waiting for an opening, and Sadak thinks he found it, but Tenor's damage is there. It's so hard to get into that Strix when he's ready, and an overpower connects onto Freeze as well.
Long distance there, dunked straight into the kill volume, no chance. For restitution there for Freeze God. He's in the spawn now, waiting the spawn timer out. 0-9 for Sadak at this point. A tough look for him, both Strix and Drogos. Nearly impossible to push into those characters without taking some form of damage. Usually any damage from either of those tunes is a whole lot. Back to the corner for Rashao. Diggy tries to knock him up. Little combo blow there from the Spite, and the Ice Staff will spell Diggy demise.
Spite's main use as a kind of a personal CC ultimate definitely showing there. Helps Diggy go down. Sadak trying to get aggressive in main, but half HP. Only a Genos healer. Ruckus, kind of tough to get caught back up when you want to just keep up that pressure. Tempo forward, looking through a time and space, might get it on Tenor, but Tenor's ready for it this time. He always knows, but a Hexafire is going in to try to keep up that aggression.
Looking for it, can't get it done. Bonker finds Sadak again, 0-10 for the Ruckus. Not working out this time. Asserting dominance into the fight. Diggy wants to get this one started the right way. Huge quick scopes from Tenor. He hits 2 in a row, connects the flare, and lets that poor dwarf bleed. Shoulder Bash would have claimed the kill, but Diggy wants to move to the next target. He wants to zone out the next wave of respawns from SSG.
Great decision to make for sure, being able to be up there and pressuring the spawn. Dismounts is huge. It means they have to use mobility to touch the objective. That means they're a sitting duck once they finally make it. Sadak trying to get that first kill on the board, but Bonker's pressuring him from behind. Dragon Punch actually connecting onto Rashao instead. He's better for sustaining, and now there's going to be no tanks left.
Alex scrambling to hit that Fire Spit, ends up missing Ice Storm. Goes wide, won't connect onto anyone there. Bonker allowed to disengage. Sadak will fall. The damage dealers from NIP need to clean this fight up soon. The tanks are running out of health, running out of time. Little crack rabbit above the payload there. Freeze trying to stay alive. Diggy simply won't miss with a flat cannon. It's too easy to connect. Sadak is back. Sadak is stalling, trying with all that he's got. Rashao's turn now, but out of sustain, out of time. And NIP will slam that one home for the 4-0 on Frog Isle. Back to form. They can afford to drop 2 maps here today, but that just means they have to 4-0 Na'Vi tomorrow. Every map here costs them a map tomorrow is how you would want to think about it.
At this point, after that one map actually at the end, they have to 4-0 Na'Vi. If they 4-1 Na'Vi tomorrow, Na'Vi will win by 1 map and manage to maintain their seed.
It's a close race here for the top spot in the PPL. Like we said, that was a lot of fun in Game 1, but every map counts here. After this break, tune in for Map 3.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Well, Game 2 drafts are a little bit more normal, and maybe back to normal for NIP. They grabbed themselves a convincing win on Frog Isle, 4-0 over SSG. Gormizer not really even close in that one. Kind of blew him out of the water.
And honestly, I think a lot of it comes down to what I was saying going into it. You lock in that Zen, and you kind of sealed your fate. He didn't, well, let me rephrase that. He didn't do bad in comparison to the rest of the team, where everybody was super negative for SSG, but they didn't have anyone to deal with Drogos. And so I wouldn't be surprised if when we look at this, Alex only has 2, 3, maybe 4 deaths coming through, but a lot of damage, still out damaged by Bittner, but was able to kind of keep up, 12 and 15 streak for both of them. They just didn't have anything that could control them.
Yeah, the damage number's rough for Spacestation. 2 deaths, you called it, you got it. Bird at 3-1 and 27, only had 1 death, affected 30 kills throughout that game. Rough game for the Ruckus at 0 and 12, Gormizer.
7 assists. So of all of those kills, he was able to get a little bit in, but I mean, that's 6, 9, 10 kills total. So I guess technically 70%, that's not a bad rate for him to be affecting it. But 0 and 12, 2 10, a lot of high death numbers on that side. Whereas pretty much the exact opposite for Alex. No death numbers, only 2 times they were able to get to him. And admittedly, that's 2 more times than they really should have been able to get to him. I think that's more of a merit on SSG than anything, but he had a solid game.
They just needed that 10 DPS game to warm up, get the fingers ready to go, and then Frog Isle happened, and Alex kind of ran free.
Instead of going to the shooting range and practicing your aim, it was just like, all right, let's just 10 DPS and see what we can do after.
Right, they're probably SSG are obviously more advanced than the victors that you spawn to stand there, so maybe smart, maybe some strategy here. Maybe they are revealing strategy for Worlds. They're just going to play 10 DPS.
At the first game of
every single set, they're just going to play 10 DPS. Hopefully they win. If not, they're getting warmed up. And then game 2 is a guaranteed 4-0 on Frog Isle. Nonetheless, though, we're tied up at 1 here after a 10 DPS game and after a 4-0 Frog Isle game. Jaguar Falls is where we head. I'm still a little bit, tentative to die.
There's
one
a lot
more
of
game is what
here on the desk.
I need one more game. If this Jaguar Falls draft is 100% top to bottom meta, then I'll be ready to go. A Strix ban.
This is how it started out the first time, though.
Right, you're right.
Okay.
All right, Makoa.
Feeling a lot more confident.
I'm assuming if Atlas follows here. All right. Gore, I think that we're safe.
Barrack. Or
yes, all right, we're safe. We're safe.
Man, that was a clean call. I was about to doubt myself and be like, what's the second tier pick other than Barrack? But I'm glad I didn't get that sentence out.
I guess that's, you're right. You grab Barrack first.
Follow me in.
Coach B riding in the pocket of Coach B's. Khan and Ash to follow up for NIP. That's going to open things up for a Cassie and a Genos, though, for SSG.
I was born ready.
Remember, if you're really looking at the standings, and, you know, we were kind of talking, I don't know how much first versus second changes things, because you don't know what the outcome of that qualifier week are. Like, if you look at it, first seed plays Renegade, second seed plays either Knights or Kanga. Sure, you can have that conversation, but we don't know after that qualifier week where everyone is going to be standing. But NIP can only afford to drop one more map to SSG if they want to have a chance at first place.
Go ahead.
They're going to lock in the pip, though. That's going to give them a good boost in those team fights. But similar draft, minus an Eevee plus a Cassie for SSG. But Jaguar falls this time around.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. I actually admire, I think, going back to this one. I think Cassie's going to work a lot better here. I think Xin has a lot of good openings, and I also like it because you can flip. Freeze got more... Well, actually, Ares is usually the Xin player for this team, so I don't know if Freeze is going to be on the Cassie or the Xin. But either way, he's going to be able to do a lot of work, and Ares can both play either. So I feel like this is going to be a good flexible draft for SSG. It's just going to kind of hinge a lot on these DPS, and a really good turnaround performance from Sadak as well. And honestly, in my mind, there's two champions in like a couple of tiers that are going to deal with Ruckus the best. One of them is Cassie. They mentioned that in the Play Like a Pro from however many months ago with Rubu.
Rubu, yep.
But Vivian is just as high up there. A lot of damage that can deal and shred shields. She is very similar playstyle to Ruckus, but very good against Ruckus because of that.
You think the Xin has a better chance of making an impact here in Jaguar Falls?
Definitely a better chance. I don't know if it's going to swing a lot harder, but it has a lot more openings to work on Jag Falls just by nature of the map.
Well, SSG giving a similar composition a second chance down on Jag Falls.
Man, I agree. I feel both Ruckus and Xin have better chances, but I'm still not sure that I love this from SSG. Another Khan Ash frontline for NIP, double shielding technically. None of the characters on Frog Isle scaled super well with Wrecker. That was a problem. I think that never really had a chance to become a problem because that game was over so fast. This time around, they have big game. They have Cassie at least to break through some of these shields. I don't know. This is another one of those compositions from NIP that I feel like could really run away with the game before SSG has a chance to get those critical items online.
I mean, that's just a phenomenal NIP comp in general. It's so NIP. We have Tenor's Pip. We have a Vivian on a close map, right? Double aggressive tank. So much open for NIP. Ares. That is kind of just unlucky. Good prediction. Good prediction by Bird. It does force Ares out. He has to run away now. The aggressive sides of the map are kind of split. I thought the Xin would push with the Ruckus, but kind of just holding back, waiting for an opening. And I think that's a good adaptation from last map where they were forcing everything, and clearly it was never going to work out against a team that was as ready for it as NIP was.
Nobody playing too bloodthirsty at the onset here. No first bloods dropped just yet. Normally, Tenor plays with Alex and Digidog on this map with his Pip. That's where the famous, kind of reputation came from, trying to backpedal out of here. Alex, so much movement speed. He's really moving around this map effectively. Shield goes up from Khan, and again, there's nobody really to bust it at this stage. Look at this flank, though. This could be first blood. Diggy looking for it. Freeze barely hanging on with an inch of his life. It's, in fact, Digidog who gets flipped. And the script now reading SSG grabbing first blood, but NIP at 75 and still climbing on the objective. Cute little disengage as well. Everybody's all grouped up in this room, and the disengage almost knocks Khan off of the map here. Rochelle finds Bird, and the collapse shall commence.
The high mobility composition coming out from SSG with the Ruckus, Xin, Cassie. They're hard to pin down if they play slow enough. They're not giving NIP that chance. The rotations just completely caught NIP out, corralled them into that one little area, and they just got melted to pieces after that. Now NIP are in a desperate situation to touch this objective, and Midtow's there with a Void Grips. Even if they sneak by, they have that one last point of CC to stop them from touching.
There's the overpower, and it's good for a kill on to Barrack. Looks like Xin is fading fast as well. Goes in the spite, but it's too late. SSG grabbed the first payload of the game just as the team fight falls apart. NIP would have been able to surge back and grab it. Too little too late from the boys in black and beige.
It was on the back of the Void Grip by Midtow at the last second, like I mentioned. Caught Diggy mid-dash on the way in to stop him from hitting that objective. But now this is going to be tough, I think, potentially for SSG to go through, because NIP don't feel like they have to force much of anything. They could just hold this line, but they left a side open. Barrack and Zin pushing on the left. Inflame to maybe counter it by shoving it down mid, but it looks like SSG might be ready for it.
Digidog's going to go ahead and get in there, mix it up, trying to find some damage onto the support. Alex finds Freeze God, and poor Sadak caught on the back foot. No way to get up and over that curb. This is the power, this is the pain that this NIP composition can bring. But surviving even a round makes such a big difference, I feel, for SSG. It's time to get those resiliences, the cauterize, the wreckers. They need the items if they want to beat this NIP composition. And this first payload buys them not only a lot of valuable credits, but time to get that natural credits pool as well.
Of course, and that aggressive play by NIP worked out well at the start, but since they ignored Rishao and Ares for so long, they just went back to the objective, and now NIP were forced back, and they were getting pinched by the respawners. So that led to SSG being able to recapture the payload and start moving it forward now. Still a long way to go for only 1 minute left on the clock, but they're zoning them in their spawn. They might get it all the way up to that final, more or less, final choke point before they go in, before NIP really have a chance to put their feet down and hold this area.
Pretty uncharacteristic start here for Tenor, Bonker, and Diggy. I think I saw 0-5 or 0-6 between the three of them. Such core members of NIP. Every member of NIP feels like core to the success. Nobody really having a lot of room at this level to play poorly, but Jaguar Fall's normally such a good map for them, especially when they do get this pip, plus an aggressive off-tank for Diggy, plus literally anything that does damage for Alex. That triumvirate of pain has really been something that's almost formed a really scary reputation in the PPL, but Tenor really wasn't playing super aggressive with Diggy, with Alex in that first round, and then those two never ended up pushing into the back line, and that gave the chance for SSG. Final 8 seconds here of Kresnik. The payload is knocking on the door, but the first kill goes to NIP.
And they have so much good positioning there in the back, and they know it, so they're Hexifiring to keep it held down. 2 kills, though, coming for NIP. Tenor finds a third, too. The ultimate came up from stock, but it just didn't matter. Tenor's pushing this down into the back, too. Only Freeze left, but there's no way he can touch it. On the back of great play by Tenor, flipping it around. Maybe an ult that didn't need to be spent by SSG. NIP managed to hold strong.
Speaking of ults spent, highly efficient defense there from NIP. They spend literally nothing to hold that. That kill doesn't come off the back of an Evil Mojo or anything like that. It looked like it had a chance to be a clean disengage for NIP, but the corral, the noose tightened from SSG. A very nice maneuver that paid off heavily for them. 7-3 through the first round for Freeze God, leading the damage charts by a fat chunk. Huge numbers over even the next closest NIP member.
Stock's right behind him, though.
Yeah, you take Freeze out of the pool, everybody's kind of, it's a pretty close race from there on out, from 2nd through about 6th or 7th. Every ultimate available for NIP, but Resilience is just starting to peek their heads out for the tanks of SSG. We'll see if that has an impact.
See if they can even find a play to get in, honestly, with this scout in the way. Fire Strike does not stun anything this time, but the stun onto Bonker. They actually combo with the time and space to find that first pick. Great start for SSG considering the massive ultimate disadvantage, but they spent almost everything. Yeah. Only Dome Shield left, but lucky for them, Assert Dominance kind of whiffs inside Dark.
And with man down, they're still going in, popping the Inflame, popping the Assert Dominance, still with 3 ultimates in the tank. Tenor, typically so fast for charging this Evil Mojo, for using it, smoking it if he's got it, but holding it, patient with it, wants to use it in a highly critical scenario, I suppose. I don't even think he's used it once this game so far. Overpower is good from Bonkar. Man, this is just it's a fight for resources at this point, Kresnik. Resources aplenty here for NIP. That finally we get to see the Evil Mojo. It's good for another kill. Overpower was good for 1. Diggy Dog just dives, and Tenor is all over the battlefield right now. Almost felt like an unwinnable fight. You know what I mean? After that first pick costs what little is left for SSG, there's not a lot of offensive potency left in the tank.
The timing of the ultimates, though, ended up being perfect. SSG had to Dome Shield kind of defensively, not on the objective or around it where they would have liked to. Yeah. And NIP just disengaged, and that time that they bought, because they were camping during that dome, meant that their Overpower and their Evil Mojo, which only killed 1 tank each, denied them the touch that they needed. Sadak now really aggressive in mid. They've been opening Tenors in his face. Moxie not good enough anymore to keep him alive. He goes down. Mitto actually getting pushed in the back line, but he's winning that 1v1 against Bonker.
The Cavalry has arrived as well. Freeze rolls in, has the big game debuff applied to Diggy Dog, swinging for almost 1,200, a bolt. Bird is able to get one consolation prize before going down himself, but not the end of the world if you're NIP. You just captured the payload, you just got your credits in hand, you get to go back, you get to spend and catch up a little bit in terms of economy. Let's take a look at the items here and see what NIP bought.
On the other side, it looks like a Bunker actually finished out. He went with the rainbow,
Wow,
the old school rainbow buy. Lots of level 1s there, but Alex buying Haven, getting pressured a lot, I guess, by the things. Another combo coming in from SSG. Barely doesn't find the kill. Bunker and Tenor are so low, and Rashao dives in to finish it off. Bunker has all that self-sustain to keep himself going. Now Rashao way in the back line protecting FRZ. And Bunker might keep going down here, but the cleansing caught from the shield keeps him alive with Bird's heals.
Bird has gone into Wrecker 3 extremely quickly, just over, or just under 9 minutes into this game. He's going to be able to rip through, but Rashao brings to the point. With Sadak, he's going to be tough to dive. I mean, this is it's a good pickup from Bird. Furia does a lot of damage. You get that passive bar scaled up, which, you know, when is it not ever full all the time, right? So he's always ready to rock and roll in these fights. And is one of the kind of better scaling Wrecker champions on this NIP composition, despite being the healer.
And that's the value of Furia, too. You don't really need Chronos. Or Morale Boost is kind of a bonus, right?
Yeah.
It's not really necessary, so having that is huge.
Oh, no!
Could be a massive assert dominance, but the Void Grip saves him at the last second. Inflame coming in might turn something, but everyone in SSG is just too healthy for them to dive.
Oh, Midtown, you just saved the day. Diggy Dog was about to Goomba stomp 3 poor, unsuspecting members of SSG. And it's still a 2-for-1 in favor of the defense. This is a really, really good Void Grip. The Void Grip heard around the world, basically. Really no hope for NIP to get this offense through. Unless they spend a big ultimate here, it would be a colossal risk for Diggy Dog. That's how staggered they are at the moment. That overtime is just going to quietly expire. Lots and lots of resources for NIP. Resources I think they were planning on using to get the payload converted because of Mitau's Void Grip. Funny how one ability can just shape the round there, man. I mean, this was Inflame. This was Assert Dominance about to dunk some fools. We're talking Big Shaq Diesel to the back line.
That was about to be one of the fattest Assert Dominance I've ever seen.
I was the 3 little ducklings all in range. All
low.
Oh, no. But it doesn't happen. Mitau saves the day, supporting in more ways than one. Some crowd control, some heals, some damage even. I'm loving this this Spite Time and Space combo.
It's fantastic, and it's an old school setup too. I know SSG used to practice it with Talus Genos.
Yeah.
Cross-map snipes with that. This time a little bit closer range, but it's Jaguar Falls. It doesn't need to be that far to be effective. Immediate overpower by Bunker pulls Rashao in. He's going to go down, but think about the timing for this. Now SSG have a chance to retake, whereas the overpower was so late last time, it denied it. Maybe a little rushed by NIP.
How staggered can they make these kills if that's it? Just one clean kill on a Rashao and nobody else dies, and that looks like Ares does go down there. I was going to say, if that's the story, and it's just Rashao that dies and then nobody else, and then he's immediately back, this might not have been worth it. But now NIP moving north of 70% without even a whisper of an answer from SSG. There's the Evil Mojo. They just have the legs in this team fight, man. One thing after another, after another, after another. And NIP just grabbed the damn thing before SSG get a word in.
SSG were just so split in the back line that they just opened up lanes for the tanks to walk in. Bunker just walks in on the far right side and kills Midtown. No one helped him.
Also,
there's not even a story there.
Something happened in the back line, like a 1v1 between Ares and Tenor. It sounded like Spite either missed or he got killed mid-flight. Something happened there. Ares was the staggered kill that happened that made that disengage not clean. A cute little Hexafire, but it's consolation at this point. Sadak does get 1 for it. Make it 2, make it 3. Freeze finds a couple more, and it's going to be held here after the payload converted, or is captured, excuse me, by NIP. Let's take a look here at what could be the final kind of item buys for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Another 300 credits in hand.
Lots of Wrecker.
So much Wrecker.
Tenor got Wrecker too.
Holy.
That's just a lot of items on that side. They're also focusing on Sustain too. What's that gap in Diggy's items?
I don't know. Let's refresh the item screen, see if we get a
maybe that'll change.
Repopulate.
It might be. Maybe it's on the scoreboard. Actually, Bunker cleaning up 2 there in the back, off of the back of that Inflame. Freeze is kind of flanking, but he has to kind of end himself now. Just wasting time. Alex,
I don't know.
thankfully for his sake, it might be on the scoreboard.
I think it's just
It's master riding.
Okay.
Yep.
I was going to say, he might not have anything else bought, you know what I mean? It's not the same kind of item layout that Bird would have had, a level 3 and a level 2, but he does squeak out the master riding. That's kind of the,
that matters a lot.
I'm smoking him, right? I'm gonna spend my credits. I think this game is probably going to be done pretty soon. The Wreckers, man. Rashao doesn't even get time to breathe. He's barely completing the animation of deploying his barricade as it falls. Threads the Nito Bunker. Has not missed an overpower all day. My man is on point. What an impactful ultimate when you can completely connect on it 100% of the time.
These are the players that always can too. Evil Mojo catches Rashao on the way to the point. Aries billowing, but it doesn't buy as much time anymore. FRC in the back going down as well. The tanks and NIP cleaning up. Actually, everyone's getting their own kill more or less here. Stun the Ruckus. He goes down. Thinks Sadok traded one at the last moment, but it was just too little, too late. NIP bring this to a 2-1 scoreline in their favor.
Clinical. My man's came to play today. Game 1 was interesting, to say the least, for sure. NIP still were definitely fighting tooth and nail in that 5 DPS versus 5 DPS. Yeah. We talked about the map situation with NIP. They really can't afford to drop much here against SSG. The more they drop here, the harder their set becomes tomorrow. If they want to grab first seed, I couldn't imagine why you wouldn't want to grab first seed. It's really just up to them and how hard they want to go for this. Clean after the 10 DPS game. NIP grab game 3. Tune in after the break for game 4.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
NIP keep themselves in the hunt for number 1 seed with a big win on Jaguar Falls. Now up 2-1 in this set. Need to win out just a couple of more to take it over SSG. Another look at the Zen and the Ruckus score. Second opinion there for SSG.
No. That's the backup for it. It's just, I think it has its merits. I think there are some, well, maybe not numbers here to be able to back it up, but some numbers on other teams that have made this work. Aries, not bad damage when it comes down to it. I just don't think it's quite bringing the punch. You can see 177 credits per minute. That's actually the more important number, I think, than anything else on this screen. Yeah. And that's just to show he's making less credits than Rachao, who's 2-10. He's not doing anything objective-wise. He's not getting kills. The Zen has a home. This is not it.
Yep. Least in the game, and credits reflect the same. Rashao at 2,700, still just a couple higher than Aries. NIP, great damage dealers in this game, but I think Bonker on the con, big game from him. Consistent overpower, so important if you're going to pick up the con.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of it, this is actually, I think, the last tear through them. He's just so consistent. Well, there's a consistent overpower that you called for. But then just damage otherwise. I mean, he was in the fight, and it's something we don't get to see too often. Most of the time, I feel like we've seen an IP, you typically shuffle him onto a Barrack, you'll shuffle him onto an Inara. He's been picking up this con a lot more often, and I love seeing this look from them. I mean, going something like Con Ash is very aggressive, and knowing that you can rely on your point tank to bring it home this way is definitely something that is going to escalate them. Again, you're looking towards Worlds right now. You are looking for flexibility in any and all forms. That's going to be one of the most essential ones. These frontline players right now more or less determine the flow of the game. I agree. And Vocal's a perfect example. Sometimes you can have a 2.0, 3.0 KDA in a game, and it doesn't matter if your frontline aren't able to open up too much. So seeing Bonker with this kind of performance is big.
I think you have to pick that kind of dual aggressive off tank in the right scenarios, but I love it on NIP. I mean, that is such their play style. Jump forward, get in your face, play aggressively, try to stagger you out kind of physically and, cooldown or death timers wise.
Yeah.
So I love that look, and I imagine it's something they'll maybe opt for a couple more times. Warder's Gate for maybe win number 3 for NIP in our first set of PPL Thursday action. Don't get to see all that much Warder's Gate, Gore.
No, this is actually one that I want to say came in big for teams like Kanga and then went to the wayside for a lot of teams. In fact, some teams even opting to ban it out. Was recently replaced more with Bazaar when that one was brought into competitive play. People wanted to just knock that one out instead, which has allowed it to go through, but like you said, we don't see it too often. Only a couple teams really play this one. And the teams that play it happen to coincide with the same teams that run a lot of IO or like to run IO. I wouldn't be surprised if that's maybe where SSG's mindset is at. She has done pretty well here.
Do you imagine other teams maybe start to pivot into the IO?
I think it would work. I mean, we saw it a couple weeks ago. Teams were starting to pick that up a little more often.
Yeah.
I feel like she hit the gas pedal really hard, came in, did well on the teams that were doing well with her. A couple of others picked her up, and you figure out these are the maps she works on, these are the ones she doesn't. These are the maps maybe in the gray area in between where it depends on the draft. This is the one where I would argue she works on it. She's doing pretty well, if I remember correctly, in the league as well. Like a 66, I believe, win rate. If I can just pull up my numbers. Yeah, 66 out of 29 games.
She's
so
fourth
she's
highest.
Winning a lot out of all of this. And admittedly, she's the first highest on the list with a number of games. Granted, it's not as many. It's, the difference between her and the next highest, which is Strix, 66, 63% win rates. 29 to 98 games played.
Right.
But her being in there, I think, is kind of a testament to where her control is, where she fits, and that she does win when she's picked up on these maps.
Right. I mean, the difference between... She's kind of in a weird middle spot where between, 29 and 98, definitely a huge gap. But the only 3 champions with higher win rates than IO right now are Koga, Moji, and Dredge at 180 and 75% win rates. But 1, 5, and 4 games played. So I think, in the right... So maybe, again, it's teams that have picked her up and feel confident playing her as a healer. But definitely a champion in a good spot if you can build compositions around it. Quick check back in with the draft going on here, though. Khan and Makoa banned out, which leaves Atlas on the table for SSG. NIP realizing that maybe that frontline pool is a little bit smaller and a little bit less potent are going to grab themselves Ruckus Barrack. Hasn't really worked out for SSG up to this point, but NIP are going to give it a go.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but the other reason I like SSG's draft and style and this map choice, NIP haven't been that team to be as proficient with IO, so it's not something that immediately comes to mind when I think of them. I'm sure it doesn't come immediately to B's mind. I don't think it comes to the player's mind. I don't think it's something NIP run that often. I don't know how often they scrim with it, but looking at that aspect, you can kind of play around with it and be like, well, we're going to get Atlas, we're going to get Maeve, we're going to get Cassie, we're going to get 3 power picks for our team, all of which play extremely well and flow on this map really well. And we're going to give you, admittedly, some equally good drafts. I mean, Barrack, Ying, Ashe, very, very solid. Ruckus in the right hands, incredible. But NIP, I think, are looking to take away the one thing IO does best, which is we're going to stand on the point.
Yeah, I mean, triple frontline will do that to you, and good sustain through Ying as well. SSG have already revealed 1 frontline and 2 damage dealers. They have to now choose what direction they want to go. Sometimes teams will counter out triple frontline with triple DPS. Genos is a favorite kind of in that regard to pair, or maybe more so with triple frontline. But still on the table. Cassie, I think, good into what NIP have drafted. Plenty of shield break there if the Cassie's kind of off the leash throughout this game. SSG maybe pivoting away from a triple anything composition with a Fernando hover here.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where the front lines are at. That's what NIP have made SSG decide. Fernando and Nara, those are your 2 picks.
Well, they need a point tank. Luckily, Fernando's not too out of the conversation as he used to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would have just been it. Well, you lock in a Nara or you give up the game. Even Terminus has a place. Probably not this map, probably not this draft, and they seem to agree. Fernando, though, falls pretty much right into what you would want. And actually, I think with Atlas on the side, this is just the right amount of aggression to be able to come through. And locking in the Fury on top of that, I think they have the fight that it will take with a big game Cassie and a Maeve with bonus damage, once that Inflame comes online, Ruckus, Ashe are going to have a very rough time in this map.
Do you think that this kind of hinges on the Cassie for SSG? You can never zone it into just one champion, but is the Cassie maybe the most important key in dealing with what NIP have drafted?
I think she's one of the biggest. I think it needs to be super consistent. And again, that's one of the best things about SSG. Both Freeze and Ares can play Maeve and Cassie. So they've got that flexibility, and that means they have the recognition. If Ares is feeling like he can be comfortable and confident on this, put him on the Cassie. Otherwise, give it a Freeze. It needs to be consistent. It's almost the hinge that makes this work.
Important game here for Spacestation Gaming. NIP are going to try their hand at Ruckus on Warder's Gate in Game 4.
I was ready to call Triple Tank Tyra. I think you might have been sniffing it out as well. It ends up being the Vivian. I mean, we can kind of see through the conversation in that booth. Everyone's head is turned down towards Alex, right? I think the conversation really revolves a lot around him and what he's feeling and how his input is going to weigh in on what that final selection is. How do you feel about this from SSG? I know you love Ruckus on Warders.
I think it's going to be a difficult comp for SSG to win against. I think Triple Tank is just super, super strong, especially a team like NIP who practiced it. I would say, and this could be wrong because I don't know every team's scrims forever, right? I think NIP have practiced this more than anybody else.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
I think absolutely.
Yeah, again, we don't know. Maybe for all we know, maybe Envy only scrims Triple Tank.
Yeah,
you never know. But I think this is going to be a tough nut to crack for sure for SSG. But I like the pick of the Nando a little bit later. I originally called the Narutzamba, but I think this is a better look. Having that Immortal to just buy time, right? If that Assert Dominance comes in, an Immortal can be an answer when normally that's an ultimate that doesn't really have a direct counter answer, especially with Khan being unplayable.
Assert Dominance, Hexafire. I mean, there's a lot of burst capabilities from NIP. Having a chance to pull the emergency break is going to be very valuable for SSG. Immediately kind of shoved into the corner, but First Blood sneaks away with the support. Look at that little man. Freeze God to the back line. He gets a huge assassination to open this game up. Without their healer, how long can NIP last? The answer is about as long as SSG here, but they're staying in front. 2-for-1, turn into a 3-for-1. Diggy Dog trying to even up the score, but Freeze just keeps killing.
That late fight Temporal Divide made a huge difference. It's just a time buyer, again, just like Immortal, right? That huge shield in the way. There's literally no counter other than push through it. If you're down your healer and you're pushing through, you're walking into sightlines, you're walking into damage. You just can't do it.
7,900 damage, 3 frags for Freeze God, 2 assists as well. So he touched every single elimination in that fight. So did Rochelle, Agent 005. Shoutouts to him. Another one. Can we get another assassination here? Hovering above Bird. The pounce finishes off Ying. And Freeze God gone without a trace. 3 more kills for SSG. What a perfect round for them.
Stock with a great dive, too, onto Bonker to find him. And they're trading some back and forth, but Freeze God playing his cooldown so perfectly. Alex touches for the OT, but Vivian's not going to last that long on the point. No CDs left. Maybe Ashe has a chance to go in, but she thinks differently of it. Backing off, and SSG on the back of great play by Freeze God start this game 1-0.
I mean, how do you adjust it if you're Bird? Can you play a little bit closer to Alex maybe?
Team, please.
Can't, yeah.
Team, please. That's how Bird adjusts.
I'm trying to figure out what this conversation is like. I just hope Bird doesn't get frustrated too quickly. Here's the Immortal from SSG. They want to keep this momentum rolling. Daggers flying. And in fact, it's Bonker that will offer himself up to the gods of death. And it doesn't really change the outcome of this fight because I think NIP were about ready to rock and roll it anyway without any ultimates either. That is ultimates spent by SSG, and they still ran into a brick wall. That's this composition. This composition should be a brick wall from NIP. SSD should be struggling in the early phases of this game. They just haven't been.
As the game goes on, it's going to be even easier for SSG too. Exile used by Sadak.
I didn't mean to divert the conversation. Again, it's really Bird, right? It's like, how does he stay alive? Is this Freeze God is he making miracle plays, or is Bird being caught out too much again? Freeze finds the frag onto the support.
We watched the POV of Freeze on one of those. I thought he was about to jump off the map again. I'm sorry.
I did too. He almost did. I mean, to be fair,
right there.
He literally almost did.
We saw the POV of him earlier, and yeah, he kills Bird, right? And then who's there? Who turns? Alex, who is already like pretty far away from that fight, like realistically.
Oh my God,
it's
healing.
so tough for them to be able to turn around. Yeah, early in the game,
Christ.
no caught, no wrecker. Barrick's so survivable.
What?
There's a reason he's coming close to a 60% win rate when you can get away with stuff like that in front of arguably the best off tank in the game.
He just straight up was taking that damage on the chin and did not care one little bit about it. Shield goes up, Diggy sidesteps the Fire Strike. Temple Divide goes up, setback. Another 900 damage to the dome for Diggy Dog. Shoulder bash in. And second chances it right on out. Atlas sustainable in his own right. Very surprised. Diggy Dog, well, okay, managed to survive initially. Ends up going down anyway. Freeze God, I mean, he's got to be 7-1, 7-2 at this point. 9-1. Excuse me. Put some respect on his name as he finds Bird. 4 of these kills are Bird. If that was that 4 or was that 5 on the Bird? I mean, at this point, something has to. I guess it's 5, right? Bird's 0-5 at this point. I don't know if he's died to the hand of Freeze God every single time, but Bird has got to find a way to maybe stick to the hip.
Look, where's his team?
Alex.
Look at this split. See what I mean? It's really not just Bird.
Again,
what could Bird have possibly done?
Alex is close there. NIP have got to keep the support alive. It's just that simple. 0-6 for Bird in the first round. We are in overtime, folks, but the round is not over yet. One of the highest death counts I have seen in a single round of play. Ying is so hard to survive on. She's just a hard character to play in general. Bird is one of the best at navigating it, but he just needs help.
It's one of the downsides of running Ying with a really aggressive triple tank, right? She can't really follow up the same way some other supports can. They dive in again, trying to find a kill, but SSG already have equalized this, more or less. They're not losing people right away. Finally, Alex finds a traded kill, but nothing more really. Rashao, just Nando surviving on the point more effectively than 3 of these tanks.
Harry's trying to thread the needle, missing just a couple of bolts, and that's all the time NIP need to stabilize. They grab the kill on the Ares. Diggy Dog, continuous pressure onto Freeze God on the high ground, making sure that he cannot dive Bird a 7th time in the first round alone. Leandro has made Bird's life a living nightmare. Something has to change for NIP.
And I think it has to be the team kind of peeling for Bird a little bit more. That I would say would maybe be positional error, right? Bird on the point with FRZ on the side, not forcing FRZ to commit really hard to kill him, right? But we saw later FRZ was committing super hard to kill Bird, and the team just wasn't there. FRZ was in their spawn, everyone else was dying on the cart. Maybe Bird shouldn't have dropped. You could argue it that way, but still, it's just so much pressure coming out from FRZ that I think the tanks need to be peeling back to stop. They're the ones that have to be putting up these walls in different lanes. Otherwise, Leandro's just going to keep free farming.
Triple Tank is rocking in the first round, first 2 rounds, maybe even the first 3. But once these items start to come online, and better believe they are, Freeze and Rashao already with Cauterize 3 after 1 round of play, albeit a 7-minute round of play. Very, very long time. Look at that. Furia from the top rope hits the Inflame. Freeze looking for his target. Target acquired. Finds the Ying in the backside of the fight. One more pair of daggers would have done it, but he's slightly off the mark and Bird will survive.
Just barely. Hexafire coming in from NIP, trying to apply pressure while FRZ's out of it. Rashao maybe gets out, and he does it the last second. Good setback to peel, but Alex is putting on so much pressure from behind the crystal.
Look at the second chance. Back to full HP for Sadak, and he's ready to rip it up with the Chrono Cannon. Lays down the huge stasis field, ripping this map in half in favor of SSG, but Diggy Dog is deep in the back line, shoulder bashing, rejoining his team now. Keep Bird safe. Freeze got his back. He's buzzing around the sidelines, but he's unable to find the kill onto the support. And Kresnik, I don't think it's a coincidence that NIP win the fight and grab the payload.
Yeah, for sure, and you could see the difference, right? Bonker literally just in the way. Bonker just puts himself between the lane that Freeze wants to take, and immediately, complete change in how the game is being played. Straight up, there's no way he can get in. Sadak, great kill onto Tenor. Dojia was about to come out, but he stopped just in time. With several picks, SSG can keep snowballing this into a very, very aggressive zone.
Frankly, unlike Tenor, missing a couple of 2 shots in a row, critical shots at that. Tried to get the dome shield off, but didn't. And with that, SSG able to rip the favor back on Warder's Gate. Not fighting for their life just yet. NIP, or SSG, excuse me, still have a game to give. But NIP have looked very dominant in the past 2 games. This is definitely the slowest they have looked since that first game. Bonkar does find the first kill of this little mid-fight skirmish here. Big adjustments. I think they've done a good job keeping Bird alive. He's still sitting 0-7, but that's how he went into this round. Much better job, I think, positioning. I think it's a very high chance that there's some frustration, some tilting going on there in that first round for Bird. So he has to keep a level head about it, and the rest of his team has to respond in kind, also without getting too frustrated.
Yeah, and that comes with friendliness with your team, right? Or at least time playing with them. Being able to say things and have your team not assume it's an attack.
Yeah, I'd be pissed. I know, I'd be pretty upset after that first round, but Bird is probably one of the most level-headed individuals I think I have ever met in my 26 years of life here on this planet.
That's a bold statement, Nick.
I mean, he is one mood pretty much all the time. One-word answers. You know, the lows are high and the highs are low. It's even keel for Birdie Boy. He does fall in this fight. 30 seconds on the clock. There it is. Cracks home another headshot on the Diggy. And Ash is reduced to dust in time. Dust in the wind. My man Atlas, in 20 seconds now for NIP to get their feet back under them. And Freeze is about to find a little surprise around the corner. It's Bonker. Almost actually completes the kill on the Maeve. Gets a fat, juicy heal from Furia. Final 6 seconds before we head into overtime as Alex tries to bat back the pressure from the Brazilians.
The survivability from FRC is so huge. Can Ares live? I mean, he does, but look at the health of Tenor. He's not going to be able to live through much of anything. Shoots. He does have the healing station and the shield. Everyone else in the team's going down. He's kind of just sitting there in the back line. Sadak and Rashao are doing such a good job of keeping their team alive and themselves, both on 9 streaks each. We saw earlier in that fight when they killed the Ashe, when we were just having the conversation about Bird. Ares lives with a sliver of HP because of a setback from Sadak to pull Diggy off of him, and then a shield was waiting from the final point of the setback between him and Ares. Such perfect play, I think, from the tank so far this game. We're going to have to see that continuing, I think, if they want to be able to convert this and bring it to a 2-2 scoreline overall. Not just in the map. They've already managed to accomplish that. Lots of deaths on NIP, but the objective control seems pretty solid for them, at least on that last mid. FRZ is going to have to take a different approach so he doesn't get completely stalled out by Bonker again.
I mean, a terrible first round for Bird is a terrible first round for a triple tank NIP. So I think that's easy enough to just say and brush off. The dive, though, Kresnik. I mean, it's all hitting the wall. Midnight Tenor, you bet you can put up the dome shield if you want, buddy. But I think SSG are just going to blow right on through it. How do you respond, NIP? 2 kills already in hand. Exile, a lot of targets waiting in that banished state to come out. Ares meets him with the big game damage, but no further kills have fallen. Fernando extremely low, backing off, but NIP have the front lines, and their support still lives.
And they're applying pressure. Out of combat healing. Will it come in time for Rashao? I guess so, because they shoot up top instead. Sadak over here. Great temporal divide is actually going to slow things down. That's exactly what they needed. Can they find Alex off of this? They're getting aggressive. Yes, they can. At the last moment, dashing away is Diggy maybe, but not helping his team. Bonker rotating around, trying to chase Freeze, but I don't think that's the right target to go on at this time.
Huge Immortal there just to start it all off. Bonker finds the kill on the Freeze, but can he escape the grasp of the man? Out of time. One final burst won't get it. Sadak just doesn't have the movement speed to catch up to Bonker, but he goes out of the frying pan into the fryer. Rashao gets the kill with the fireball. SSG stand tall. No comeback mechanic, no half comeback mechanic, no funny business on the point. Just good old-fashioned 3% ticks. SSG climbing north of 75 as the Ninjas in Pajamas sit at 36.
They have a couple ultimates, though. They could assert dominance and touch this, and I guess it's going to have to be with Tenor melting to the Furia damage. It lands, maybe a setback coming in, but I think Sadak already used it. He's going to walk into Bonker as well, who has the Hexa. Second chance is up, but this Hexa fire is about to buy a lot of room right in the back line.
Oh, yeah. Bring the pain, baby, from the back row. Bonker gets the support, half of a frontliner before going down, and might have just been enough damage left in the tank here for NIP. If Diggy Dog can't get Freeze God, there's definitely a chance that the Brazilians bounce back. Very staggered kill on a Rashao, though. Does that dust their chances?
The tanks died at such a bad time. Inflame's coming in. He has to use the shield to get the speed to touch. No negating CC, but Maeve touched it at the last second.
Oh, she does get the touch. In and out. Atlas, so good at getting these overtimes started. Plenty of time for Rashao to get back. Another setback for Bonker. He's going to be able to box this one out. 2 more kills have already fallen. Make it 3, make it 4. NIP 5-0 in that final team fight. And party on. The sprays go out from NIP. They potentially can close the game here with this push.
SSG didn't play off the pick that they had, I think. They got that early kill onto Tenor. He's the one who's supposed to be contesting the point, right? Then you say, all right, what's next in line? Next priority. It's got to be Ashe with the assert dominance. What's the counter to it? What do they have? Setback. That's about all they can really rely on, and they just didn't fall on it. Potentially aggressive play. Tenor actually dome shields in the backline to split them off, and Bird finally gets the better of FRZ in those 1v1s.
Throws it right back at him. Taste of his own medicine. Tenor tried to dive the back line and get a little 2v1 action going here. This is a very even fight so far. 2 for 2. Walker's going to pop the emitter here. Box out with Rochelle. 2 very healthy boys. Fernando just doesn't do the damage to go toe-to-toe with Ruckus for very long. This payload continuing to march forward. Overall, an even exchange, but I think the payload making a little bit more progress in favor of NIP. The Immortal comes out. SSG want to stop this in its tracks. They don't want to let this one get off the leash.
They didn't get a kill, though. They had to find something while that Immortal was going on, but Ares chased down the Ruckus instead of helping up front. Alex is just splitting them in half. Finally, what they need, and Alex takes down FRZ, trying to hunt down Bird, but it's duck season, not rabbit season, not duck season.
My man, slaying out here on the Vivian. The last pick in the draft, a lot of discussion around it. You could see everybody turned with eager eyes towards Alex in the draft phase as he rationalized what he wanted to go with here, and I think everyone's happy with the decision at this juncture. Bird's heart still beating, everyone else's heart still beating as a result of their support being alive. Much better adjustments in the last couple of rounds for NIP, but we're not out of the woods yet, Bobby.
Desperate situation for Sadak. Whenever you have to use Exile like that, it does not feel good. Diggy putting a wall in between them and Bird so they can't pressure that backline. Bunker's getting low up top. It's not going to be rough. They can't find that kill. They get 2 tanks immediately. That's going to be it for SSG. That's the only people they needed to stay alive.
And unfortunately, they were the first 2 and the only 2 to fall. The payload knocking on the door. The front lines went down probably within a half a second of each other. There was nobody that could have hoped to get on the payload fast enough. It was that simple, man. I mean, Bird 0-7 in the first round.
Yeah.
Looking rough. As soon as he stays alive, the rest of this composition begins to flourish.
Yeah, I think the teams adapted the start of their mid-fights well, too. SSG had the answer clearly at the start. NIP fixed it, then they win, and SSG fixed it again.
Yeah.
But the retake stop wasn't there. They had the start of the fight, they just didn't kind of flesh it out. Prologue, but not the rest of the book.
Loved it, man. And I love that true essence of a flanker, too. Assassinating the support, the most valuable target probably in that composition. Freeze played it beautifully in the first round, but NIP bounced back. They win, and now they're on set point. On the other half of this break, we'll come back with potentially the final game.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Been a little too nice for y'all. Now I got to up price on y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all. A6 all the hate. I won't get a ball today. Got lost in the ball and A's. I'm flipping the balls. I'm flipping the on record, off record. I still count wins when they got it. On record, off record. I let them take advantage. I was wildin'. On record, off record deals. Tell them talk to Colin for the quote. On record, off record. I still want the act, not the ghost. For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, 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 for the record. Price for y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all.
Make it 3 for NIP, and they're starting to roll in this matchup. 1 win away from taking it and keeping things interesting in their matchup against Na'Vi tomorrow. Gormizer, another look at Ruckus here in this set, and finally a win.
Finally a win. when he switches sides over there, NIP looked really good with it. There's a lot, I think, that comes through with them that looked really solid. And again, I think a lot of it just thwarts the play style SSG wanted to play on this map, and that's kind of what triple frontline can do in certain scenarios. You get the right kind of lineup with it, and all of a sudden it opens the door to get aggressive or passive. You can do either or and still control it. Of course, Diggy Bittner didn't seem to get the memo about any passive play with the damage numbers that are way up there.
I want to know what Bittner's barrack stats are, because I think they're nuts. I think he is so proud of his triple frontline barrack play. I mean, I think this is something we've seen kind of formulate over however many weeks. The slash line wasn't great at 10, 2, and 15, but he had huge damage numbers for his team. But kind of in the back of my head, anytime I see NIP draft triple frontline, if there's a barrack in the lineup, I'm assuming it's going to be Bittner. But when the slash line isn't that great from your front lines, you need a little extra help from the back line. And Alex at 13, 8, and 21 on the Vivian yet again. But big game from him.
I'll be honest, it'd be a lot easier to ignore him if he wasn't just such a beast at Vivian for whatever reason. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at this guy, he got an annihilation this year playing Vivian. He had a 25 strength. I think he was like 25 and 0 plus for that game. He might have gotten a single death. And, you know, you want to ignore him. And then he gets a quadra kill, almost a pentakill there, but I believe Bittner was the one who got that in between. But he just plays Vivian so well. And it's so weird to think about it because there's nothing truly elegant about Vivian. Yeah. You hold left click, you pop your sentinels if you have them, and if you're in danger, you put up your shield and you're safe. But at the end of the day, he just seems to do it better than other teams when they try to run Vivian. It has to be the way that NIP mesh together. They kind of keep him safe, and this triple frontline is a great example. 3 guys to stand out in front of you, keep you safe, a healer behind you that kind of keeps you going forward, and allows you to do so much damage uncontested that you're fine.
Well, that quadra kill highlight, I think, was a great example of that, where he's kind of hugged back behind that wall. The rest of the fight is skirmishing out in front, and he's just sitting back. You don't even really zoom in all that much on Vivian and just absolutely shred through the 4 members of SSG. I'm intrigued, though, because we're starting to see things shift. Like, Victor is starting to come into a couple more compositions. I think Bittner usually plays Victor for this lineup. But Vivian is kind of in that weird fringe territory where some PPL teams are starting to kind of get into that auto rifle direct damage conversation.
Yeah.
But it really is only Alex almost that's playing the Vivian right now.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing. SSG have tried to incorporate it, and they've been met with mixed success.
Yeah.
Alex is the only team, NIP are the only team who have brought it in and I think won more often than not with it. Not only being able to win, quote-unquote, more often than not, but also being able to come in and solidify that as such a great pick for them. It makes such a big difference, and it just goes back to the interview when we were talking to Diggy, when we were talking to Bonkar, how simply they put it of other teams don't have a tenor, other teams don't have an Alex, they don't have this ability to play whatever they want to, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest downsides to a lot of people going through qualifiers, going through the World Championship. You don't know what to ban, and you don't know how to pick in a safe way against an IP. They just have too much.
Well, it's an interesting conversation kind of coming into this last week of PPL, and people are wondering, maybe you just try not to show as much of your strategy as possible. I mean, you play kind of the standard stuff. I just don't think you can lock down a strategy for NIP. I think they just play too much weird stuff. Honestly, Kangev started to come into that conversation as well, and a flexibility, enough difference. That keeps things interesting. After taking the 10 DPS battle in Game 1, SSG have dropped 3 straight, and we're going to maybe a decider on Stonekeep.
And I've got the secret.
Okay.
And you notice something. There was something that happened in Game 1 that did not happen in Games 2, 3, or 4. SSG had Androxus. SSG have been losing every game that they don't have Androxus.
Androxus can play on Stonekeep.
I'm not saying they're related. I'm just saying it's an odd coincidence.
And he's going to get picked up right here. I'm buying it.
First pick.
I'm
Slam
bought
him in there.
I'm bought in. SSG are going to forego the Androxus ban against all odds. They're not going to ban him out. Maybe NIP were the ones that should have banned him out.
Look, in this set, NIP have a 100% loss rate to Androxus and Buck, both of which...
Stats don't lie, Gordon.
One of which could be played on Stonekeep pretty well.
Stats don't lie. You're right. There's a 100%.
These numbers I'm saying are 100% accurate. Whether they're related to anything at all.
Correlated or causated, who knows?
Correlation, yeah.
But
you never know.
Androx is still on the table. I'll buy in. Maybe an Andro here for SSG. Not banned out, of course, by either team. Ash ban, interestingly enough, for Space Station. Strix off the board as well. Willow, maybe something you jump at here, not banned out?
Yeah, and not picked up in the first 3 is really baffling. I mean, this is one of the ones, specifically for Tenor, he's one of the ones who made her look good on this map in the first place a little over a year ago now. So kind of surprising to see them forego it as often as they are, as much as it is. If SSG don't opt to pick it up here, it's going to be rare form for NIP. Well, actually, maybe not too rare form for them to pick up a double blaster. But Willow, it's hard to pass up. Eevee already very solid. Again, probably Alex playing that one, so you'd be looking towards Tenor to play this Willow if NIP go for it. Otherwise, SSG more than likely freeze God.
Well, you bring up the Willow, hovered for now, and locked in by SSG. So you're going to get the Willow versus Eevee kind of flank blaster conversation. Round out with the Genos, pair that for just a little bit of extra damage. Good on to everyone. So now NIP has to answer back. They've already got some good sustain, maybe not sustain, but staying power rather for the point with the Barrack, some flank to blow up the back line for SSG and the Victor. I was going to bring up that conversation. I think this is a great pick here for Bittner. I think you put him on the high ground with the Victor, and he's going to be able to control this game.
I think he's going to be more than comfortable as well. It falls right in that area where you would want Strix, Leon, Kinessa, but this actually keeps it comfortable for kind of a mid-range fight, close-range fight if you really need to. Barrage is bonkers on this map as well. And the best thing about it, Barrage, for people who might not know this, but Drogo's Willow, when they're in the air, specifically Willow for Fae Flight, Barrage will connect with her up there. So if you can hit it, then that is a good way to counter it out. Plus, you get the hit scan, so you have a more consistent counter in that in general. It's pretty good drafting so far from NIP.
They're going to rotate back to the Ruckus, though, SSG. This will be the 4th time we've seen Ruckus. Once for NIP, twice already for SSG, to no success for the latter, but a win for NIP. Do you think that this is a wrecker game for Victor? Do you think he goes right into the wrecker, or maybe Cauterize is the first priority for him?
For him, I actually wouldn't be surprised if it's Cauterize, because I think a lot of the focus he's going to have to do.
I imagine you get both at some point.
Yeah, you're going to need both. I think Cauterize might be the first call. I don't know. Tier 1 Wrecker could be pretty good dealing with Con Ruckus. He kind of toes that lines. It depends on where NIP want to send him. If his focus is going to be Willow, Leon, Cauterize is the way to go. It stops Genos from doing as much for them and lets him win out those trades a little more often, especially knowing that Willow has a free Wrecker in her mind. She doesn't need to worry about Cauterize. She only has to buy a Wrecker. So you could maybe try to win that matchup by going Cauterize early on, but Con Ruckus, pretty big, easy to choose targets. Might want to go into them. Again, it just kind of depends on their focus. Eevee can handle the DPS, Eevee can handle the tanks. Victor can handle the DPS, Victor can handle the tanks. How they divide that up is going to pretty much showcase, I think, which item is better.
They're going to round out with a Fernando, presumably off tank, although Barrack can play aggressively and damaging as well. Maybe you have to see. Does he kind of battle with Khan maybe up in that high ground?
I think he can, but I think it's a risky call at the end of the day. I think his shield is going to be melted. Leon and Willow
actually.
More than likely going to go for Wrecker.
That's a tough matchup.
He's not going to survive too long.
That's a tough matchup, Fernando into Khan. Let's see how it plays out in Game 5.
Chris, I got to be honest. I really am liking SSG's composition a lot more on this map at base. And I started thinking about like the suite of ultimates you're gonna have in these team fights as well, and I'm like, damn, I don't know how NIP are gonna win this team fight, man. They gotta just hit like this fattest barrage of all time, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to have something to slow them down. They don't really have any combo ultimates. It's that or a very good immortal, just to be able to kind of buy more time. But you can't immortal an overpower unless it's done at melee range, and then it's just a bad overpower anyway. You probably would have won that regardless. They have some combos too. They choose to use it.
You know, Barrack, Eevee, great 2 characters for sure, but it feels like Eevee's picked a little bit earlier than NIP normally would. just because, you know, Freeze God is sitting across from them. Ruckus gets all the way to the back line. Sadak is furiously communicating that. Tenor is basically silenced so far for this fight. He can, until he knows where Sadak is, he's called everyone back. There's more people filing in behind Sadak. I mean,
He's still on mount.
This is a mess.
He just got off mount now because he finally got into Tenor. He wasn't looking. Tenor now pushed all the way into Church, but they're losing the point battle. Having that fight in keep while Sadak does this long rotation kind of gives that up, but Bonker doesn't know Aries is making that rotation, and he goes down to that Church flank.
Everybody filing in behind Sadak. Sadak does a good job buying the time, the space, and he gets out clean with the kill on a bird. Not clean anymore, though. Tenor takes him down. I imagine somebody's chasing down this Victor, but of course, Fernando is there for the peel. Sadak and the boys now on the objective. SSG moving north of 60%. Great job in that first point fight. They are just sitting on Tenor.
What is the time he has spent shooting versus sprinting on that mid? I would love to see that pie graph for sure.
You're not allowed to play the game.
So much pressure. Rochelle already charged up an overpower. First ultimate in the game used onto Bonker to immediately eliminate him. That's a crazy amount of damage for a Khan to start. And this Nano might be able to touch up top, but the Void Grip actually denies it. Alex has to go in for the touch, and he just gets immediately out.
He will get that touch. Start this overtime late. Does it still count, though? SSG slowing down on the capture. Just finally getting the overtime going now. Aries gets the first kill onto Alex. Nobody can contest Freeze God up here from this angle. That is all Willow territory all day. Not a really flashy team fight. I think it's very clear why SSG were able to win that. There's a very clear causation to your win rate versus how much Bittner gets to fire and actually play the game. And there he is just chased around non-stop. My man went from being chased by Sadak to being chased by Aries, then being chased by Rochelle. I mean, he was just running and running and running and running. Kind of the same problem they just had on Warder's Gate with Bird, except now it's Tenor's Victor.
And they're doing a great job at dealing with it. That being able to just point out what those problems are going to be in your composition, in the enemy composition, and just being able to hard focus and make it work that well is fantastic. Ice Storm doesn't do much to a Hexafire. Diggy has to drop down, but Sadak can't get away once that Hex is over.
A lot of damage, but dumped into the early game shield of Fernando with no record to slow it down. Let's take a look actually at the item selections here. What did everybody buy initially? So Tenor went straight to Wrecker, Bird as well. It's all red all the time for NIP.
One Wrecker is kind of interesting from SSG. I feel like two might have been able to help, maybe even on Sadak, being able to use that Hexafire in that situation, right? Having that potential, but these Nano Shields and Barrack Shields are going to last a little bit longer than they would have otherwise. I guess they think that they're just going to grab the Nano Shield anyway. Shao pushing up a little bit, kind of on his own, taking that 2v1, but the healing from Genos is actually doing more than enough to keep him going.
Very confident. Aries pushes forward onto Alex, who has struggled so far on the Eevee as well. Leon, one of the better matchups into the Winter Witch. Aries duking out with Fernando, trying to eke this one out for the boys of Brazil. One final headshot cracks home, and he will grab it. Tenor dies with his finger on the trigger, but he dies all the same. Nobody killed in his right either. 39 seconds on the clock as Freeze God surges to the back line. Bonker's forced back into spawn as well, and the lane is cleared for the payload.
There's some great microplay there. As Alex was coming down, he put a shot under himself to bounce a little bit further to spawn, and then Bonker body blocked the shots coming in from FRZ, so great team play and great little tech stuff that you don't normally get to see. They were hoping for that overpower to make this work a little bit more, but does not connect. 30% back in Roshao's hands, and they need to find a way they want to push this. They have Bonker holding one of the better corners for tanks in the game, but they want to ignore him and push towards the spawn instead.
It's a miracle miss there. I think that's the only thing keeping NIP in this first round. The clock strikes midnight, and everyone's dying from SSG. Finally, a source of respite, and it's off an unforced error from SSG. On Jaguar Falls, we commented on Bonkar hitting all of his overpowers and how much easier the game becomes when you're getting an overpower every minute and a half, 2 minutes. So it's critical that Rochelle tighten this up and connect every single one of these. On Stone Keep, it's tough. You don't have a lot of kill volume to work with. You laughing at the little tune slowed down?
Yeah.
That's a funny jingle when you play it in slow-mo for sure. But you know, you don't have a lot of kill volume to work with. So as a con, you got to be careful not to be overly exposed, and you don't want to trade your own life out for holding up a sacrificial lamb for 6 seconds.
Especially since it takes so long for the target to get to them, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're peeking wide you grab somebody, there's a chance if they have enough burst damage at long range, and they do, they have a Victor, you might just go down before anything can really happen. I want to see how NIP changes this mid. Tenor actually waiting in the banana, and there's NIP sitting so far back to just deny Sadak getting in here. Tennor's on top of the stairs, running away now, just trying to stay as far away from that backline, that dive potential as possible. Parker uses Dome Shield almost unforced, but through time and space catches Bird on the dash
Look
out.
Look at that, all the way to the back line. A free kill for Midtown, the boys of SSG. Chu goes the Ice Storm into the fight, out of the fight. Alex is not able to get what he came for. Aries has his front line covered. Leon, such a good matchup, so good at swatting Eevee out of the sky. Sadak manages to clean up Bonker, who was attempting to disengage. Another fight won from SSG. Not a miracle play per se, but a rock-solid time and space catching out the support. SSG are doing a good job keeping the pressure on Bird.
We'll see if they can keep it up, and also keep up the pressure on Tenor, who's half HP in the back, losing the trade to the Willow. He overcommits into the corner. Willow splash so strong, and Tenor just wasn't thinking about it. Oh,
too much. Fayflight now uncontested. The only hit scan threat from NIP was already dead, and that was what gave all clear for takeoff. Freeze God already finding 1-2, and even then, not wanting to get overzealous with it. You know what I mean? He doesn't full commit to the church, doesn't really want to risk his own life. He stays alive. Lets the boys clean it on up. Aries and Sadak will grab the final 2 kills of the fight.
Bird staggers himself in church too. He thought he could get out with his team being alive, but he couldn't. But not a single ultimate up for SSG. Immortal and Ice Storm in NIP's hands, and the Immortal is close to the point. Nando very low, gets forced out. Eevee can't go in there to help, and I don't know if they have the follow-up to make this Immortal work.
I'll be honest, man. Aries is giving Alex the hands this game. Really good performance from him. Slides onto the objective, though. Danger zone, and he is punished very quickly for it. No comeback mechanic, as there was no conversion in that last round. Nice shot there from Alex, who is now more focused on zoning than he is with confirming any further kills. I don't know. That fight's not over. There's still a lot of SSG and a lot of NIP on that point. Alex was already focused on zoning the next wave of respawns. Still sitting on that Ice Storm. Blinks in, drops it onto Willow's head, but needs to get that last shot and will.
Doesn't get to stay alive, though. Midtown is still there. Diggy now actually diving onto him.
Nice
Con shout might keep him alive. That 400 HP will make the difference with that low health from Nando, and the dash is just too far. Diggy thought he might be able to get the kill, but goes careening off the edge, and they know what they did. They know what they did.
That was a great battle shout. Largely cauterized away. You can see, I think Diggy's already at the caught 2 mark. Only 400 health, but 400 health making all the difference there for Geno staying alive. Man, I just, again, not really feeling this composition from NIP. I don't think it gets any stronger going into the late game. I don't see the win condition. They've had their chances. They've had full waves of ultimates. They've had ultimates together. They've had them separate. I don't know how they win this one.
I think you aggressively use Immortal with follow-up. The problem is that the best ultimate they have, which is Immortal, one of the best ults in the game, isn't being followed up on properly. They don't have people collapsing. They finally did near the end of that fight, and that was the only time they really looked like they even had a breath of life that entire time, and they just keep finding kills here. Walker drops down. Alex still done. Rashao doing a fantastic job getting all this cleanup, but if they keep staggering these kills, I don't know if NIP even have a chance here.
Goes for the Enlightenment. Big to the back line there. Commits onto Bonkar, and they will get the kill for it. Diggy's shield falls as well. Time and space is ready to go. 25 streak burning loud and proud for Midtown. You know he's got to be looking for that snipe. One more Astral Mark. The overpower connects. Is there enough offensive pressure? There is finally to take Freeze God down, but I think it might be too little too late. This payload really looks like it has a chance to make it all the way home. Dome Shield is spent, trying to keep this one alive. Bonker running out of HP, running out of time. It's a conga line here, but the reinforcements are here for the defense.
Immortal's also close too, but I guess he doesn't need to use it right now. The spawn advantage for the defense, just too much for SSG to overcome right now. Still have a shot at doing this, but a lot of ultimates get charged. That Dome Shield actually, I thought it was a waste, but it bought just enough time.
Just enough, man.
NIP being able to hold that. SSG a little far back, a little lower on the ultimates than NIP are, but they have this time to now charge them back up if this fight goes even longer.
Just a good game from everyone on SSG. 10-5 for Sadak. He's either turbo feeding on this ruckus or he's popping off. It is a very polarizing experience. 5-0 for Midtown, 5-2 for Freeze God, 7-5 for Aries. Is the closest to even being even as Rashao sets 9-2 triumphantly. No chance to end the game here as we enter the final couple seconds of the round.
See what they can find. Sadak very low. No tank actually on the objective. Rashao has to throw his life away to get the contest. Aries now caught in the middle of 2 players, but almost actually manages to get one of them out of it. As SG smartly don't commit any further to feed more ultimate charge just to Bonker. He's the only one without it at that point. Now looking at this fight, SSG need to charge their ultimates, make the fight go a little bit longer. And honestly, that's better for them. NIP, I feel like their ultimates haven't really been what they want it to be.
Man, he was trying to get tenor too. That's what hurts.
Bird beamed. That's what got him caught. You can't cancel a beam with a dash. He was mid-beam when the thing came, so he couldn't dodge, even though he knew it was there. Unfortunate timing by Bird, but through time and space, when you're that good at connecting it, it can give so much value to your team.
Definitely, man. It's felt like such solid rounds for SSG right up until the final seconds. 29 streak for Mitau. He's 5-0 too, so he's going to be a pretty valuable target.
Yeah.
If somebody takes him down, he's going to be worth a decent chunk of ultimate charge. Time and Space is ready to go here. A lot of members stacked up from NIP, but in goes the Ice Storm. Alex looking for blood, and he's going to find it.
Doesn't get too much bonus ult charge from that because he died to it. Immortal used, but it was already after they got the first pick. This is just more of a snowballing thing where Xiao has to die soon, and that means that the Immortal actually didn't do as much as it potentially could have. SSG now disengaged, 33% on the board, but I don't know how much.
They really wanted to keep Alex alive there.
Yeah.
I think that's what it came down to. He didn't have his wormhole to get himself out. And it's a hell of a start for NIP here in the 3rd round. 69% uncontested. Fayflight fishing, looking for something. Long distance shots to the back line. But ultimately, NIP are able to get away from that. Aries finds Alex randomly somewhere in the church. And the overpower will connect onto Bird. No more heals for NIP, but Kresnik, this is a big hill to climb for SSG.
For sure. Aries finding that kill onto Alex was actually huge. They just raw, there was nothing helping him. Alex was just in the open overextended and died. Now he's here on the flank. That early death means he's going to be the first person to go in for the objective contest. And Eevee's one of the best. They don't know he's there yet, but I think Aries might have just seen him. He chooses to dismount himself and give his own position away, but that's because Bonker might be able to run it down mid and make it. But this is late game. There's Wrecker on line. How long can Bonker survive on the point?
Well, we'll have to see. Time and Space comes up empty. The fight has begun. Dome Shield dropped on the objective. The first 2 kills go to NIP. Nice shot into the keep. That early lead just simply too much to overcome, and NIP will grab this 3rd payload of the game.
That early cap time meant that they had to move in and keep contesting it. They couldn't give it up. If maybe it was 80%, they could have had a little bit more time to find that healing, to find another pick without throwing themselves away, but SSG don't have a chance there. NIP now potentially on the verge of winning this set and putting themselves in the position to take that first seed if they manage to do well against Na'Vi tomorrow.
That first map, hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt them. It's not going to be easy to 4-0 Na'Vi. I would say nigh impossible. I mean, those guys, like, they're almost guaranteed to get a map the way they're playing right now. Tenor finds 2. Sadak drops the hammer with the Hexafire to shut him down. And the payload about halfway there, so NIP still have some work to do, but plenty of time to do it. Bonker visibly frustrated. That Wrecker definitely online at this stage of the game, man. He went down quick.
Yeah, through his shield and through his bowling ball. Didn't even get a chance to use his failsafe. He died so fast. Fayflight being taken out, and it's going to be a slow Fayflight. So I want to mention how good Sadak's positioning was during that Hexafire. You move during Hexafire.
Just a little bit.
So
little crawl.
little. If you put yourself right on the edge, you can actually have massive movement. Yeah, and you can trap people under. That's what managed to get them that pick on Tenor. That great positioning by him. Aries kind of alone here, but he's so far away from Alex that I don't think anyone can really threaten him, and he drops into church with FRZ. What an aggressive dive by SSG.
Oh my goodness, SSG have taken a risk here. Both of their backliners are a little bit caught out now. Diggy Dog is going to fire away. Freeze manages to trade it out. That overpower, I think, whizzes. Yep, 38% now. Unfortunate, man. They got to start leveraging that one a little bit more. Sadak is going to fall as well. Tenor's here, healthy in the back line. It feels like Rashao is the only chance they have to slow this one down. 30 seconds, and I like to slow play.
60% already charged back up in the overpower, though, so Rashao was getting them quickly. I guess if you can miss him if you're getting him that fast, right, at this point. But
yeah, does he have morale at all? Can we see items?
I don't know. He has morale, too. Still, you want him to connect, obviously, ideally, but at least you have that kind of rounds to make up for it. Time and Space actually hits Tenor, but he lives.
Wow.
That's the blast shield coming into play right there.
Huge connection there, but unable to come up with the kill. Now the kills are starting to fall the way of SSG. 1 for 1 so far, 2 for 1 in favor of the defense, looking to hold this one here. They want to stay in this game. They want to stay in the set, Bobby, and they will. The kill feed filling up blue as SSG hold on and force a 3-3.
Mitow just dropped from the high ground and just went on a slaying spree. Diggy Dog not happy with something, shaking his head at maybe something the team was saying. I saw he had 900 credits in the bank. He can go caught 3. He can go master riding 3 if he feels like turbo feeding.
Diggy did?
Yes.
Okay.
During that last round. So he's got some options credit-wise for stuff he wants to do. This Nando seems to be doing, I would say kind of decently. It is 3-11, but I feel like it's applying some good pressure when NIP is kind of on. Right? The Immortals are coming into play at decent times.
It's just a little bit of a weird comp for me from NIP. Most of the time it's Bonker playing this, and most of the time it's just because it's a Genos comp usually, and they just have to get something going.
And they lost Barrack or something.
They do like the pairing of Genos and Fernando. Big fireball potential here. Initial burst. It's unfortunately going to be met right on the chin of Diggy Dog as that overpower will finally connect.
And that Immortal not coming out is what's going to make this just not work for NIP. Aggressive by Alex, but Ares knows what he has to do to counter it. That EV is forced to back up. This could be a great flank by FRC if he goes any deeper, but the rest of his team backs up. He knows he can't get away with it. He has to disengage, and this is just a stalemate at the start of this fight.
Nobody in lead on the point. 6% to 9%. There's the Immortal deep in church. Diggy Dog trying to make as much space as he possibly can. Alex comes ripping in over the top, trying to grab a fight. Ares pins Bird to the wall from distance. Enlightenment is going to whiff as well. Still sprays the tree. Still feeling himself. Still feeling good.
Great. It was a great dodge by Alex, honestly, to get out of it. Bunker caught out. Sadak, maybe. Now he's fully healthy. He knows what he can get away with. FRZ, great seedlings, find another 2. And now NIP are not in a great place. They have time to retake, but so much wrecker for SSG, so much shield reliance on the tanks on their side. They're going to have to send Alex in, I think, at this point, but I don't even know if they're going to have a chance with this aggressive zone.
I'm telling you, man, Barrage, Ice Storm, it's the only hope NIP have now. Alex needs to get this ultimate charge right now. Barrage is just going to be pulled out. Tenor's just going to go for it. Does he get caught by the time and space? No.
The ice block.
It got the ice block from Alex. He's vulnerable. I don't know if he got the touch there. Bonkar dies for it. Bobby, I think that's it. That's a 2 for nothing. 2 for 1 now. 3 for 1 in favor of SSG. In favor. My guys continue to trade positively, and they find themselves out of the woods on the board. 2 maps now for SSG, and they will force a Game 6.
Nick, SSG have come back 3 maps in a row to NIP before.
Oh yeah,
we've seen it happen.
That was, I don't know. I don't think that was a very good draft from NIP.
I agree.
I think they got a little lost.
Yeah, I don't think they had the flexibility that they needed over time. And honestly, that one micro thing at the end, that ice block being forced out, I called it out because that meant Alex can't touch.
He did not get the touch. He got void gripped up.
Yeah.
Bonkar's corpse kind of like, fell forward and touched the point. But
like the Lightning McQueen at the start of Cars where he's the tongue over the finish line.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not enough to get it done, though. NIP staved off for now. On the other side of this break, we'll have Game 6.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
Well, it's a close one, but SSG are able to grab the win on Stone Keep and force a game 6. And remember, 2 was the number of maps that NIP was able to draft to still have a chance to lose, to still have a chance at first seed in their game tomorrow against Na'Vi. So although the set doesn't necessarily hang in the balance, it does for SSG. If NIP lose this one, no chance at first place. So something to keep your mind on as we move forward here. Better performance, though, top to bottom for everyone on SSG.
And better draft. I think that's really kind of what comes through. Willow obviously makes things much easier for them, but just top to bottom, they are able to deal more damage to shields. Bonker and Diggy were not able to keep their shields up for, I would argue, a lot of them. I mean, 165,000, 110,000 there. But anytime they popped those up, they got melted very quickly. As you can see, a Wrecker 2, a Wrecker 1, a Wrecker 2, and then Wrecker 3 there for Freeze God. They were not allowed to play protection, and you can see that in the slash lines as well. 7 and 15 versus the 3 and 13 there as well for Diggy. Definitely leaning on the side of SSG, but also backing up their performance. Their play, their shots, everything was just more excellent, more consistent than it has been the rest of the set.
And I like the way the assist line looks there for Spacestation. 24, 26, so, very close for 4 of their team members. Then, of course, Mitau, big game on that Genos. But kind of, I don't know, the way that looks to me is big team fights where everyone is kind of getting involved. The KDAs are close enough, consistent enough that everything just seems good for SSG. That's the performance I think they need to put on a consistent basis to really have the best chance in that qualifier week and through to quarterfinals.
And I think that's kind of the thing they're keeping their mind on right now. And qualifiers, like you've said already today, there's no chance for SSG to just skip that. They're solidly locked in at 5th, so they know that they're going to be going up against a PS4 team. They already know that they're going to have to make a climb through a double elimination bracket. Again, not something they're unfamiliar with, so something that we've seen them be successful with. And if they can win this one, well, they can alter the deal for NIP as well. They can knock them away from first. All it takes is one map, but Bazaar is not exactly the easiest map for SSG.
Except for Frog Isle, these have all been pretty close, 4-2 or 4-3 outside of that 1-4-0. I mean, now you're looking at the contingency where if NIP wins this one, the map differential is at 8, in which case they'd need to 4-0 Na'Vi tomorrow to tie them in wins, which would push us to the map plus-minus, where they would then be tied with a big 8-map swing in a 4-0, and then you'd be looking at head-to-head, and under the circumstance where NIP wins, that would be tied as well. This is all very circumstantial because I really do believe the odds of a 4-0 over Na'Vi, anyone in this league, I'm not putting my money on that. I think Na'Vi are able to take one. Na'Vi probably beat anyone in this league, but I don't see a world where they get 4-0'd. But the potential is still always there. As long as NIP are able to win this match, there's still at least something in store for our second matchup of the day tomorrow. So a set to win and a chance at first to win here for NIP. Ash and Khan start off the SSG draft. Barrick, Cassie Hover for Ninjas in Pyjamas, while Makoa and Atlas take a seat alongside Strix and Maeve. We don't really see a lot of Willow on this map, do we? Is Maeve kind of
Not really.
I'm trying to think, because, normally Willow is, kind of banned out next to Strix, but
well, I'm trying to think.
I guess Maeve makes sense.
Maeve makes sense. She flows really well on this map. There's a lot of areas where she can maybe get over cover, and that's going to cause some trouble for you. But honestly, in my mind, I think part of the reason I'm not used to seeing Willow here is because she's been banned so many times when we do come here. But there has to be some merit to, or I guess whatever the opposite of merit is to her. If neither team has gone for her, IO picked up for SSG. Went into a whole spiel about her 2 maps ago.
Yeah.
And neither team picked it. Good win rate, good play style for SSG that I think fits really well. Also going to throw it out there. I mean, they kind of goofed it up a little bit, but Androxus still has a 100% win rate.
We really want this Andro. We really want this Andro.
Just want to see him again. I don't think this is going to be a map for him too often. And I don't know if we're going to see him again unless he fits a very niche scenario, but You never know.
We did bring up Willow as kind of normally banned out alongside Strix. Maeve takes her spot in the ban column, but it is going to be a Willow here for NIP, rounding out a triple DPS composition for them, anchored by the Barrack, supported by the Furia. I like Buck on this map. I like Cassie on this map. I think Willow definitely has a home here.
Yeah.
Do you like what NIP have drafted?
I do. I think Buck is going to be very interesting. There's a lot of things that are going to be dependent on him, but considering it's their map pick, I, again, can only think towards what style you're going to be going for. I mean, even a net shot Buck here could be pretty prominent in terms of damage output. I think he does have 3 unique playstyles. Bulk up is the most common and consistent, but he has that ability to flex around. And because of Bazaar, and I mean, even SSG right now, having to consider it, how often you see Buck on this map, even in scrims, I sincerely doubt they have any sort of rapport to go against to figure this one out.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a bounce house Buck. I mean, I guess I
wouldn't mind.
The potential is there. I loved
it was
watching
a lot
that. I
of
loved
damage
watching
reduction.
I mean, you jump on somebody, absolutely blow them up. 10 champions locked in, 5 aside. We've already talked about NIP. Looking over at SSG, they've got themselves now that kind of aggressive off-tank combo. Ash Khan for them, backed by an IO. Leave the Fox on point, send that aggressive composition forward, and maybe try to win it from there.
I think if they can get aggressive with the Ash and the Khan, if they can keep IO kind of safe and let Leon EV do their thing, this kind of stars align for SSG. But it does depend on how well they play that aggression. I mean, if you're playing against the team that brought the aggression, and NIP, they know what they're doing. They kind of see what you're going for. I'm on the fence about Buck, but that's where it falls apart.
It is an important one for NIP to stay in the race for first. Game 6.
The Ash Khan has been a very, very winning combination today.
Yeah.
Ash Kandi, the great sword of the Brotherhood, might just be the solution for the boys of SSG to push this one into a Game 7 comeback. It's a little WoW Classic reference from my boys.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I could see that. I saw that one soar proudly over your head. That one's for Blake.
Okay. I'm sure he appreciated it there in the back, and all the people in chat that maybe bought their subscriptions to grind on that too. This is a comp we've seen before from NIP on this map. We've seen the Buck triple DPS here. I have to see if they decide to play it the same way or if SSG have kind of done their homework, if they've learned. It won't be Bounce House. It's on the desk they might have thought. It is going to be Bulk up. A little more consistency in the DR because it comes to bonus healing too, but right now it's just kind of getting walked at and pressured out.
Yeah, well, fortunately, Buck is pretty good at taking damage on the chin, healing it right back up. Remember that skill? Rejuvenate. There it is. Right back again. Very, very low cooldown. 5 seconds on the nose there. Alex is healing up every single time. He's taking some damage. He's leveraging his bonus HP. I like this response from NIP in the draft. When SSG, it's clear they're going for something pretty aggressive, and NIP just kind of pivot to 3 DPS to make sure they match that aggression. I love it.
I think having Buck as a 3rd DPS means that they scale a little bit worse to caught late game. Actually, he might just get caught out here. Great shields like Rashao pushing him around the corner, but he's walking on the ceilings. Just goes a little bit too far and burns
Party
down.
Hard.
Partied a little too hard.
That spray, man. Now I'm really starting to pay attention to it, and it's not good. Wow, look at that. Line him up, knock him down. Ares with the presence, the full reset on it as well.
Y'all miss Scorch?
He is. Man, he knocked down 3 targets, got a kill. You best believe that cooldown was instantly ready to go. 99% though for SSG on the objective. The overtime is started. Rashao frags out. Alex, Diggy Dog getting into the mix. Pops the Fae Flight. Oh, and he's just locked down there by Midtow. I think this is payload 1 going SSG.
Unfortunately, Diggy was trying to avoid some radars by being low flying that just are not on Bazaar. Goes down very early there. And you didn't say anything, but I was laughing to myself because I have never seen Luna so dedicated to stunning one player. Buck was on the point and jumped away, and Luna followed him all the way back over to the corner.
That's funny.
And then instantly warped back. So it was just silly watching Luna really hunt him down, and it actually led to Alex dying too. That Luna stun is more important than people give it credit for. Sometimes it's hard to tell when it's coming. You hear the little like from the Vox, and you're like, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hey, here it comes.
And it's just yeeting across the map through walls. An unstoppable force of ferociousness.
Unfortunately, everyone that's on the other side is a very movable object.
Yep.
Not being able to withstand it that well. Overpower actually connects onto Bonker, so SSG might have found their opening here in this to go back on the payload.
That is certainly a good opening. Cassie's going to roll back. I don't know where Tenor thinks he's headed, but Sadak puts him in the dirt, but not before he grabs Ares, so a constellation kill. Ring around the rosy here. Bizarre is sometimes bizarre to watch. I mean, a lot of rotations, a lot of, I think, still figuring out of this map. Nobody's really put their stamp of approval on it and says this is ours. We know how this is done. But with the ring around the rosy comes the pocket full of posies here as SSG find themselves back onto the objective, working their way towards victory and towards that conversion. Nobody here from NIP to stop them. That next wave of reinforcements has to meet this payload. Hopefully Alex is going to be alive and well to see it through.
He's so low he can't almost find Ares, but he does go down. And honestly, that was really bad for NIP being on that flank. I'm amazed they got some kills because SSG should have been ready for them, but that cart was moving the whole time.
Yeah.
50 seconds left. Still Alex waiting on that respawn timer with the buck. SSG can spend whatever they want. Honestly, there's no threat of losing if it goes down, so I wouldn't be afraid to throw some ultimates out there and see what sticks.
40 seconds on the clock. Plenty of time to work with here for SSG. A lot of ultimates available. And you can hear that Lunasun. That's the squeak of doom. Ninjas in Pyjamas use the end flame here. Movement speed and damage for all. No kills off the back of it. SSG put up the gloves. Disengaged for just a moment. And now they're right back to it at full strength.
That was definitely the perfect play by SSG. Kiting away from that inflame. When an inflame gets nothing, it's great. And this assert dominance might find something too, zoning them into spawn. Bird's going to have some problems healing potentially for Xiao keeps this pressure up, but the trades go towards NIP even with that pressure happening.
Ooh, Begon there manages to shove Alex away, and MGTOW lives. MGTOW's going to survive. The kills are starting to fall now, though. More heavily in favor of NIP. Freeze grabs one more consolation. Reading, waiting for that wormhole, and he's exploded the second he comes back into harm's way. Overtime expires. Ninjas in Pyjamas will hold the defense and even up the scoreline one apiece.
That was a sweet point-blank CC beat gone. That's something I think we're going to see a little bit more, especially with these more telegraphed flanker movements, right? That's very clear that buck's coming in. He can't really hide it. It's a great dodge by Tiki, actually catching Rochelle and Ares there. I think that was what led to the zone, like the initial flank, right? Off of those two picks. So good by Tiki to enable that for them.
Not a very common sight here. I think it's just a hard team to read. NIP, that is so versatile in what they're picking, what they're playing. Normally when an off-tank flexes onto a DPS, 95% of the time it's Leon or it's Cassie, but in this case for DigiDog, this goes back to what we were talking about in that very fun game one. He has that pedigree of the blaster class, right? He used to play that role for Kanga and play it to a world-class level. His name was known and feared, even though he only came off the island twice a year to play in those international lands. He's still very, very potent force here, playing this Fae Flight safely, just trying to force everyone from SSG back.
He's so good, he was the first imported player ever in the game. Changed now that we're all down here in Georgia, but still, he was the first one that people were like, yeah, he's good enough, we'll bring him from Australia. You move into my house.
Yeah,
that's
all the way in Sweden.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Bird said, and it worked out.
Clear across the globe, essentially. Alex the first to fall here to the overpower. Not much he can do to outplay that, just the way it goes sometimes. But already 72% in the lead are NIP on this objective. 2 for 2 exchange, and Lightman goes ripping across Bazaar, but it won't find any frags. 93% now. As it looks like NIP will disengage. You could hardly call it a loss at that type of lead.
Eversy applies so much pressure. Buck Wild actually comes in, but the shield saves Rashao. Last moment, he's trying to kite away now, but too low HP. Doesn't want to use the recovery mid-Buck Wild. He gets picked off. 40% means he's going to come pretty late to this fight, but a lot of NIP still here. They're close enough where they can make something happen. Dome Shield also still in Bonka's repertoire to be thrown out onto the point, but if they can burn him before they come in, they can make this Dome Shield not quite as worth it, but he makes it all the way in.
In he shall go, drops the Dome Shield. Bonker has now achieved safety on the point for the next 6 seconds. Getting gunned down is DigiDog on the high ground here, but Sadak will fall first. 2 for 1 in favor of NIP, working this Fox down so it can no longer contest the objective. Still a 2 for 1. Nobody else has died since then, but the overtime is burning away. Freeze, able to get in there, reset it once. Tenor punishes Ares on the high ground, and the Noose Titans chokes out SSG, and NIP will begin the offense once again.
I don't know if I even like SSG having someone on the point there. Maybe just, I mean, obviously they needed something contesting, but maybe just throw Luna on, play on the sides, deny the pressure that NIP were able to take because people were so focused on the Bonker Dome Shield. That's an option they had, but not the one that they took. So now NIP are in a pretty solid position here. Assert dominance into the... I guess he thought they were further back, but they're not. They're just going to move in and ignore him.
I mean, they are very split at the moment here. Rochelle largely being ignored, but it forced NIP further into the clutches of the defense. And those kills are going to follow, so I guess you can call it worth indirectly there. Gun down, a third kill. Sadak finds Diggy Dog, and Alex trying to backpedal his way out of this fight. Buck has the sustain, has the mobility, and any further aggression will be met by the crossbow of Tenor. A very lethal force in this Premier League, so not wanting to get too frosty here. SSG not wanting to overstep their boundaries as it opens up the door for NIP to come back with a vengeance. Ice Storm to kind of chill things out, slow them down potentially, and it's going to be good for one. Bonker so heavily countered out by that slow cripple combination. The Fae fight doesn't really get much, Kresnik.
It doesn't. It managed to zone them in a little bit, but it was since Bonker died immediately, there was no more presence from NIP. Bonker is their solo tank. He has to survive in these situations. Alex, the tankiest member left, and he can get away with some stuff, but not too much. Luna keeping that objective contested now. SSG all kind of clumped up in one little area here. Not too concerned about that. They're staying out of Diggy's sightline, so that death falling won't really be too much of a problem.
Take a peek here at items. Has anyone from NIP gone into Bulldozer? Yeah, Bonker. Okay, yeah. Bonker's who I saw shooting clocks there. Eric, frankly, scales very well, right? You have a pretty high base to work with Wrecker and Bulldozer off of. He's already at Bulldozer 2. Bulldozer's incredibly cheap. Kind of defuses the whole thing that IO is bringing to the table. You know, between Bulldozer and Dead Zone, and IO only being able to pocket one target at a time, there's a chance that Midtown gets very heavily countered out in this fight.
The thing is, there's nothing they can do to counter the 25% damage reduction. So that's what Midtown's going to be bringing. Some supports.
You can't take that from me.
Yeah, exactly. Like late game, think Grover against Quad 3, right?
Yeah.
That's all I can say. There's really nothing else to say. It's just not doing much. But at the very least, you're giving someone that DR, and nothing counters DR. Aggression is gone.
Unfortunate.
Damage amp does, but not enough.
Overtime started up now. The defense opens up with the first kill onto Tenor, the second kill onto Diggy. But frankly, they have three. Never mind, they don't have another DPS there. Alex dies just as I start to utter the words. Bird falls quickly after. 5-0. I think 3, if not 4, going to Ares there. Midtown has a lot to say about what he wants to happen in this next round.
What's he saying, Nick?
Hell if I know.
Read his lips.
Hell if I know. I am actually probably the worst lip reader. I am completely incapable.
Really?
In fact, it's a point of frustration. Because my girl always tries to do that. She tries to mouth me stuff, and I'm just like, what? Use your words. Like, it pisses me off when people try to do that to me.
Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe watch that bad lip reading show.
Oh, man,
online.
that'll make it even worse. Then I'm going to be like, what did you say to me?
There's not a refrigerator in 10 miles.
I miss those videos, man. Those were, oh, man, that was great content.
Do they still make them?
I have no idea. Those are good content, though, man. Always happy to see another one of those.
We'll never know. Midtown actually going into Wrecker to have some more utility, which makes sense. IO has a lot of time to kind of free fire. Luna protecting it. Midtown finds a pick with just the random arrow spam. Easy for Midtown here. Throw it into the back line, throw Luna on the point, and keeping up that objective pressure for SSG.
Out comes the Ice Storm, and in go the rest of SSG. Bonker dead as well. Overpowering. Very nice rhythm to these kills, right? I mean, Tenor dies. 5 seconds later, Bonker dies. 5 seconds later, Alex dies. Now it's just a constant trickle in of reinforcements for NIP. Alex is just now respawning, and there was 78% to 6 on the objective. SSG are looking good.
Look at this Dome Shield, too, off the point. The Beacon actually whiffs at the last moment, but Tenor has to be the one to come into touch. That's not what you want. Your solo tank has to be the one contesting. Buckwild comes in, finds one, but won't be able to find two, no matter how sustaining he thinks he is.
Oh, man, trying to shrug off the damage from the Ice Staff. Freeze only missing pretty much one shot in that engagement. Too clean, perfectly executed from Space Station there. I mean, it all started with kind of that miracle arrow across the map from Midtown. But beyond that, that was all execution. That's all skill-based. You really got to hand it to SSG there. They did not give NIP a chance to come back into that.
For sure, and that was just the staggers, too, I think were what was perfect, what you mentioned.
Yeah, man.
Just having that timing of everything made it almost impossible. Crazy. That Beacon was real close to touching there.
It almost did, yeah. It almost knocked him right out of the Dome Shield. Crazy stuff there. A little 1-for-1 skirmish here. Tenor just trying to I think pull SSG away from this payload if you can. Slow them down, buy some time. That's all you're really doing at this phase of the defense, but you don't want to fall down one by one like they have been this entire round. That's what's given the momentum to SSG. SSG can end the game here. That would force a Game 7. NIP were looking so damn clean through the first couple of games, but SSG just clawing their way back.
If SSG do manage to take this game, not only does that put SSG at the potential of winning the set, but it also completely denies any chance NIP have of taking first seed. It would be completely out of the picture if SSG managed to get another map here. NIP are going to be playing hard if they don't want that to happen. We'll have to see how it does turn out. Overpower does miss, but there's enough time to charge another if they want to have a chance of converting this payload right away.
1 minute on the clock. Payload on the home stretch. One team fight separates SSG from victory. Game 7 on the line here. First seed on the line for NIP. If they lose this map, that's it. Na'Vi are locked first seed for the World Championship. So they want to grab this one if they can. Alex, Tenor, Alex finding kills left, right, and center. Diggy Dog throws his name into the feed. Birdie Boy
that.
Gets it done too.
I thought Tenor hit that.
Oh, man.
I was about to pop off.
He's known for it. He is known for it. Pretty even slash lines outside of the front line for NIP. 2 and 11 for Bonker. A struggle to be sure. If he can keep his head on straight, he's not the win condition, right? The front liner's just here to do his best, put as much damage out, contest the payload, push the point, all that sort of stuff. He's not here to frag out, so he's got to keep a level head, got to keep calm. 13 seconds, last chance for SSG.
I want to say real quick, I love the positioning that Alex has, by the way. Since he has a shotgun, his jumping and accuracy doesn't matter, but I guess if you're going to get trapped in the corner, that's when it does matter. The Assert Dominance does manage to land from Rashao, buying a lot of time on the point, and it forces out the Dome Shield too.
Has to say in this game, if you're NIP, if you want a chance at first seed, you need to win this map. Chunking away at the shields, one frontliner falls, the other quickly behind. Freeze is just so low HP, and the bell will ring. NIP have done it. They have defended successfully. They have forced one more round here on Bazaar. One more chance to grab this map, close this set, and go home for the day with a chance at first seed tomorrow against Na'Vi.
I want to see the ratio of how many maps on Bazaar go to round 7.
You feel like it's a lot?
I feel like it's a lot.
Okay.
And I don't even think it's like impossible to push either. I think it's just a really strong defensive point, and some teams just don't want to deal with that long mount back from spawn. I think at this point it might be more than Ice Mines.
Could be.
I think it's getting close as teams are figuring out Ice Mines more and more every single day. So much sustain on Midtown's side, by the way. Can I just say, Haven 3, Blast Shields 2?
Yeah, he really went
tough
in for
to pin down that eye.
I don't even feel like he's been dove a ton, and maybe that's why, right? Nobody even wants to mess with that at that point. 3-3, folks. SSG trying to force Game 7. Ninjas in Pyjamas trying to put this set to bed and preserve their chances at first seed at the World Championship. But SSG has been all but free today. Aries finds the first kill onto Alex. 33% lead for Nip on the objective so far. Not a huge deal. Not anything that can't be overcome for SSG. Fae Flight still available, but look at all the ults for SSG they could use.
They keep getting people at SSG low, but NIP's not finishing any kills. We've seen like multiple low health bars, but nothing following up. Overpower does not connect for Sadak, but they still have the cap time. If Bonker dies here, that's disastrous, I think, for NIP. He goes down, but they manage to trade it for the other point tank.
Quickly traded out again, though. 2 for 1 in favor of SSG. Up in the air, hit scan threat. It's a big problem for Diggy Dog. Leandro won't miss twice. There's the first miss. Okay, I cursed him. He misses twice right there. Diggy Dog
86.
still goes down. Freeze God tracked it. Found the kill. 90% for SSG. This is getting dire. Freeze God finds another one. Aries slides. Alex equalizes. 63% and climbing. Nip currently in control of the objective. Bonker is back. No more ults for SSG. No more ults for NIP. It's a race to the finish line, Bobby.
We'll see how they can manage to play it out. At first, he's connecting all these mid-range shots, and they need that. Luna contesting the point, too, so they can buy some more time. Rashao might be too forward on the side, but he gets away at the last second.
Can't get line of sight of his tank. They need to communicate. They need to reconvene. Look at the huge headshot. Alex needs one more. Finish the kill. It's Tenor from across the map. They were trying so hard to reconvene. Rashao equalizes, finds the kill on a Tenor. The up-down slain mid-air by Bonker. He won't get the assert dominance off. It's overtime in favor of NIP. They want to close the set out. They want the chance at the first seed at the World Championship, and damn it, they're going to get it.
Oh, man. So at the last second for SSG.
That felt like the problem. Like, they were scrambling to get that line of sight, and they just couldn't get it. Then they basically had to come together and kiss just to get it back.
And no one else was getting healed during that, too. It's not just Rashao not getting healed. It's the Mid-Tower was so focused on that it denied the rest of the team that chance.
It's an indirect thing. It's a small thing. It's a hair that we're splitting. But that's what matters in these clutch moments, right? That is the thing that spills the beans, crumbles the cookie, whatever you want to call it, whatever phrase you want to use. NIP, after what looked like a scary little midsection of this set, managed to finish 4-2. As the absolute most maps they could give with a chance at first seed. So they do maintain a chance. They have to, like we said, 4-0ing Na'Vi is not going to be easy.
No, for sure. And not only 4-0ing Na'Vi doesn't even guarantee them first seed.
It forces the tie, right?
It ties map differential, it ties head-to-head, and it ties the win-loss.
So they got to do that. I think it's like a best of 3 or something. They have to play some like.
Yeah, it's not even over.
Tie. I don't even think it's written in the rules. We have to
you
call.
You have to what?
Cooper
6-1.
He has to get out the tome and dust it off and figure out what we have to do after that. Let's get it back up to the desk and hear their thoughts on this great set.
Well, stuff stays interesting into tomorrow. I don't know if Coop needs to dust off the third tiebreaker that we have.
Let's be honest, he's turning that page every day. He's waiting for the scenario.
All right, so where we stand. All right, well, we came into today, NIP down 2 wins to Na'Vi, and then also 10 maps was their differential. So now that they've won 4-2, they close the gap to 8 map plus minus and 1 win. They play tomorrow. If they 4-0, that's 4 lost maps for Na'Vi, which bumps it to 4, and 4 won maps for NIP, which bumps it to 0. And the wins would be even. So then you go to head-to-head, and this is in a circumstance where NIP wins. That would be tied as well. So a playoff of some sort.
Yeah.
I will say, though.
It goes to like another set, like a tiebreaker set.
I will say, though, this requires 0 map wins tomorrow from Na'Vi. This entire circumstance requires on Na'Vi not winning a single map tomorrow.
I'm going to go through it. 15-11 there for Bidner. 10-14 for Alex on the Buck. But this NIP that I see right here, I don't know if that's a 4-0 for them against Na'Vi. Like you said earlier, Bees was feeling pretty confident about it. So I do see a world where it happens.
It could happen, sure.
Something's going to shift. The best thing going for them, and the reason that it's still a huge possibility, is because even though today maybe this level of play doesn't do it, they know Na'Vi.
Right.
And they have played Na'Vi so many times, either through scrims or what have you, that it's going to be like, I guess, 2 old buddies playing a game against each other. And that's going to be what makes it more interesting. I think we might see some weirder drafts because they know each other so well. You never know what the bans are going to be. It should be an interesting one. But with a 4-0, that's a very difficult task for them to find. I think it's possible, but they have to play impeccable. I mean, even a 4-3, it's too much pressure to really seal the deal.
The kind of too long didn't listen is it's either a 4-0 for NIP, in which case we're tied and everything. Literally any other outcome, and Na'Vi are locked in at first seed. Our second matchup, actually, between Envy and the Knights has some serious implication as well.
I like the idea that Na'Vi just come in, they win the first map, and then lose the next 4, like 4-0 every single time. They're like, doesn't matter, first seed.
That'd be enough. Map differential would be at 1 or 2 then at that point. Lots to happen lots to happen for NIP tomorrow, but we've got them standing by to hear how they feel about today.
Gentlemen, chance at first seed tomorrow if a lot of things go your way. But before we talk any more about that, I want to ask about game 1, man, the 10 DPS game. At what point does the train go off the tracks there and you guys decide to go all in with that?
I don't know. The way the bans went, the way the picks went, we figured we may as well.
You guys look like you hovered Makoa Atlas for a second there.
Yeah, we want to throw them off guard. That was it.
Okay, that's.
And we were just worried if we went Makoa Atlas, and they went a bunch of DPS. That can be rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that was a really, really fun one to watch there, but got a little shaky towards the middle of that set there. Does SSG just do a better job of bouncing back there, or was that you guys kind of making mistakes through the mid game?
I mean, it went really well the first 2 games, but it really showed that they prepared for the Stone Keep in the way they played.
On Warder's Gate, we noticed there was a really rough first round for you, in particular, Bird, with the pressure that they were putting on the sides. Other than just rotating players there, how do you deal with that kind of hard focus as a player? Like, how do you get your team to kind of help you out with that?
I yell at them. Well, maybe not yell, but we've had a couple of long discussions about how I need more protection. So that's what they got last night, especially.
I do my best, but it's hard on Barrick.
Was he yelling, Tenor?
No.
Okay, just checking that out, Paul. How many teams, really quickly, do you think are going to prioritize hiding strategies versus kind of giving it all they got to get this seeding for Worlds?
I think everyone's just about locked in now, so I'd imagine most teams should be at least preparing for Worlds. I mean, I guess the teams that are going to placement, they have to prepare for that, but the top 4, they should be hiding their strats. If they're not, then, that their loss, I guess.
You gave away your 5 DPS, but hopefully that doesn't bite you in the butt. You still managed to win today. Congratulations, guys, on the 4-2 victory, keeping your chances at first seed alive. Now we're going to go throw to a quick break, and after that, Envy versus Knights.
I now powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.